Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to this very important meeting of the City Council as we do the people's work. At this time, would you please stand for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman Dr. Curtis Edmonds, Sr., followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Edmonds.
Gracious God, our Father, we're so grateful and excited to see the concern of the citizens of Portsmouth come into this building, filling up from the first floor on up to this floor. We thank you, Lord, that they have a concern about the business matters of our city. We pray to Heavenly Father that things that would be done and said in this place will be of the benefit for all and not for any single individuals. Bless us, God, to deliberate right, to make right decisions, and to let the community know that it's all about Portsmouth. Bless us in that effort, and we'll be mindful and careful to give your name praise, glory, and honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Edmonds. At this time, members of the City Council, would you please indicate your presence electronically?
7 members of City Council are present.
Members of the City Council, you have before your consideration the minutes of a call meeting of April the 8th, 2013, a call meeting of April the 9th, 2013, a regular meeting of April 9th, 2013, and a call meeting of April 16th, 2013. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I move the minutes as read be adopted.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you're voting electronically. The minutes are adopted 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. 13-183 presentation of a proclamation for National Volunteer Week. If Ms. Malbembry, along with the members of her staff, and if the police at the door could announce for any volunteers that are out in the open area that need to come in for this presentation, could do so at this time, and join the mayor at the Sergeant at Arms desk. Can we have you all to line up right across here, please? Thank you.
Somebody very tall was up here before me. Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, members of City Council, Mr. Rowe. My name is Rose McKinney, and I'm the Assistant Director of Human Resource Management. I'm here with my director, Mrs. Tony Small-Bembry, and Mrs. Dee Wright, our Human Resource Analyst, too. Our department administers the Portsmouth Pride Volunteer Program, and on behalf of our director, Mrs. Tony Small-Bembry, and the Human Resource Management Department, we are delighted to join City Council this week for National Volunteer Week and celebrate service. And may we please emphasize that we have volunteers dedicating their time and talents at no cost to the city. We are excited to have several of our volunteers joining us this evening to celebrate National Volunteer Week. They're standing right here to my left, and we just want to make sure that they're recognized for their service to the city of Portsmouth. Our volunteers represent the following departments that are currently participating in this program. They include behavioral health care services, libraries, museums, parks, recreation, and leisure services, planning, and police. Just in 2012, our volunteers contributed a total of 10,530 hours toward achieving the goals of these departments and, more importantly, your vision. So as a result, we are proud to present the City Council with a check to represent savings to the city in the amount of $255,000, $773.70. Thank you for celebrating with us. In closing, we would like to share that for any persons at least 18 years of age and interested in volunteering, you can just simply submit a volunteer application to Human Resource Management. They can indicate their areas of interest. We'll coordinate with that appropriate department on potential volunteer opportunities. Of course, they can always contact Human Resource Management or visit our website. The volunteers make this program successful, so members of council, if there are any others out there, we welcome them. Thank you again, and have a great evening.
Thank you. How about a round? Test, test. Test. Thank you very much. Before I actually make this presentation of this proclamation, we have some very wonderful people, and I know we can at least get one or two to talk about their volunteering in the city and the impact and the things that they've done. All of you make a difference. All of our volunteers make a difference. This week is an extremely important week in our country, because if it were not for volunteers, if it were not for people like you, a lot of things wouldn't get done. This $255,000 is probably just a scratch of the surface if you total up all of the things that we all do in our community, in our neighborhoods, churches, for mankind to be able to benefit from each other and the goodness of each other. So I'm staring here at Miss May Breckenridge because she's never at a loss for words. And would you please, ma'am?
Good evening. I'm May Breckenridge Haywood. I'm a retired librarian. After retirement, one of the great things that I did volunteer to do was to volunteer at the Portsmouth Public Library. It was an extension of the work that I had been doing in the career as school librarian. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to volunteer at the main branch, especially because that's where we have our local history. It is indeed a pleasure for me all the time to go to the Portsmouth Public Library. And I must say that the time that it was closed was when I needed to use the library the most. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Hyman. I'm the auxiliary police captain for Portsmouth. I've been an auxiliary police officer here for 38 years. It's kind of hard to believe. We have got one of the finest auxiliary police units in the country. I've got a few of my officers here, Lieutenant Dan Walker, Officer James Bull, and Officer Robert Griffin. We have 17 men and women who are in the program. It takes about 2 years to go through all of the training and the certification to be able to work as a law enforcement officer by yourself. In 2012, we worked 6,555 hours in uniform patrol and in the Detective Bureau. We're fully integrated into the agency. We're fully supported 100% by the police department, from the chief all the way down, and the mayor, city manager, and council. We have a unique program for volunteers. If you think that you would like to become a part of the Thin Blue Line, we'd love to have you. We're on the city website. There's a link there to send me an email, and I will get back to you, and we'll get you started in the program and be prepared for a lot of work.
Thank you very much. Now, it is my indeed honor and pleasure to present this proclamation, but before I do, I want to share and thank everyone here, all of our volunteers throughout the city, for what I call a marvelous weekend. We had a consortium of Pretty Up Portsmouth, Paint Your Heart Out, Great American Cleanup, and all of the other organizations, auxiliaries that you could think of to meet at the city park Saturday morning at 7:30, and we disperse throughout the city doing all of these great things. So I want to thank all of our volunteers that showed up and made Saturday a successful day. We had collection points, city employees working, going around doing things, folks out on the highway. Just a show of hands that we see people out for the week. Yeah? Okay. And then yesterday, I had the great privilege to attend the annual Volunteer Appreciation Luncheon over at Trinity. And what struck me was one of the volunteers, and I wrote her name down, Miss Catherine Hendricks, 95 years old. She's been volunteering at the Oasis, she said, in her words, over 30 years. And she was honored to meet the mayor and wanted to take a picture. And then, absolutely, and you know, naturally the mayor can't talk about anything without mentioning church. And she's a member of Zion Baptist Church, the vice mayor. And I didn't mention your name, by the way. But, she enjoys her volunteering. And the young lady who was identified as the Volunteer of the Year, I didn't get her age, but she was up there, Miss Willie Mae Council. And Miss Willie Mae Council volunteers over at the Effingham Plaza, and every morning she gets up and goes throughout the plaza, ring doorbells, knock on the doors, and make sure all the other residents are there. And she didn't know why she was being recognized and why the mayor was making a big deal out of it. So I said, Miss Willie Mae, that's a big deal to the mayor, and I'm sure it's a big deal to all of those seniors every morning to hear that doorbell. So with that, this proclamation reads as follows: whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes the world. And whereas volunteers can connect with local community service opportunities through hundreds of community service organizations like hands-on network action centers. And whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social change, discovering their power to make a difference. And whereas during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for their commitment to service. And whereas the giving of oneself in service to another empowers the griever and the recipient. Empowers the giver and the recipient. And whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our nation's social problems. And whereas our country's volunteer force of over 63 million is a great treasure, and whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth I. Wright, Mayor of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, do hereby proclaim April 21st through 27th, 2013 as National Volunteer Week in the City of Portsmouth, and urge my fellow citizens to volunteer in their respective communities. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can replace disconnection with understanding and compassion. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Portsmouth, Virginia, to be affixed to this 23rd day of April, 2013. Signed, Kenneth I. Wright, Mayor. Congratulations to all of our volunteers. Please, a round of applause. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will see a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we highly encourage you to please cut off your remarks at that time. We'd like to also note this evening we have quite a few speakers, so we are asking that when your name is called, I will call one speaker and then the speaker to follow. Please be prepared to come forward when your name is called. I'm going to ask the security at the door when I call a name, if you don't see them coming from inside, if you could please just mention the name outside the door. And I'm going to remind you one more time, please do not clap during the speakers after their comments. If you agree, they will ask you to stand if that's their wish. But we ask you again, please do not clap during the comment portion of these public hearings. Public hearing 13-184. Public hearing to solicit citizen comments on the FY 2014 Annual Action Plan.
Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, members of City Council, ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Fred Brusso, Interim Director of Planning. I'm here tonight, as required by federal standards, to present the proposed fiscal year 14 annual action plan, which contains CDBG and home projects that will be using HUD entitlement funding for service delivery during the next year. This is a presentation that we make each year during the budget cycle, and Council will be asked on May 14th to approve the action plan as part of the budget before it is sent to HUD. City has received CDBG and home funding since 1974. However, these federal entitlement funds have continued to decrease each year. Examples shown up on the board: CDBG funding in 2003 was $2,100,000. The estimated funding, and I have to emphasize estimated because we have not received the full federal funding package yet, is for this year for CDBG to be $1,351,678. Likewise, home funding in 2003 was $798,960. The estimated funding for this year is $80,820. This is due in part to the $313,000 reduction due to the CCDI uncompleted projects. To help cover this reduction, we propose reprogramming $230,000, which we've identified in the home funds left over from these previous cases not being completed, to soften the effects of the reduction. 4 years ago, City Council adopted a new 5-year consolidated plan, which is the comprehensive vision or master plan to address the needs of low, moderate income families in our community. You'll see the goal of the consolidated plan listed here on the screen, and that's really the provision of affordable and fair housing along with vigorous economic and human development. A large component of this includes a continuing of care for helping the homeless. The priorities laid out in that adopted consolidated plan are derived from the statutory purposes of the CDBG and home programs. It is these priorities against which the consolidated plan and the performance under the annual action plan will be evaluated by HUD. In addition, the priorities are also more directly linked to the various goals and objectives set forth in the Destination 2025, otherwise known as our comprehensive plan, some of which include creating safe and sound neighborhoods, providing housing and support services for persons with special needs, This linkage provides yet another tool with which to implement the citizens' visions for the future. For fiscal year 14, let me first focus on CDBG, component returning shortly to the home program. The principal objective of the CDBG program is to provide decent housing in suitable living environment while expanding economic opportunities for principally low to moderate income families. Funds can be directed to acquisition, relocation, demolition, rehabilitation, construction of public facilities and improvements, public services, job creation and retention. The estimated CDBG revenue for fiscal year 14, as we've indicated, is being cut by at least 5% at this time. This provides a total funding of $1.35 million. Previous year's funding had also included approximately $124,000 in program income. It is not clear at this time if these funds will be available. Therefore, they have not been included in this budget at this time. It is significant to note that staff, when we placed the notification out for applications, received applications totaling more than $2.24 million for CDBG funds. In terms of recommended project, an emphasis is placed on maintaining core services provided by city departments and PRHA. Other nonprofit services providers, at the beginning of each cycle, the applicants are informed the request funding usually exceeds the entitlement granted. We look at direct consistency with the consolidated plan, projects that achieve a specific consolidated plan priority, funding for projects that complete previously funded or in progress projects before funding new projects, projects that will make a significant impact on the targeted neighborhood and our population served. CDBG funds are provided for three basic services, as you see on the board. They are including public services, which include labor, supplies, materials, and other costs, or constructing infrastructure or improving real property, or administrative cost. Proposed public service to be included with CDBG revenue for this year include 4 programs for parks, recreation, leisure services, 1 for behavioral health services, 1 for park, and funding for the Independence Center. These are all reoccurring programs from previous years. You'll see that the recommended public services activities total just over $202,000. This is the maximum cap we can place for these types of activities. Funding for other programs includes support for existing PRHA projects, Virginia Supportive Housing for 4 additional units in the homeless facility that is being built in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake Service Systems, which is a vocational service laundry facility located in Portsmouth. And remember, many of you visited that facility when it opened in February of 2012, and the Frederick Boulevard Landscaping Project. PRHA administrative costs and city costs to administer these programs are included in the administration and are subject again to a maximum cap. Again, all of these are continuations of existing services and programs. Excuse me. With respect to home funding, you see the statutory purpose of the home program listed here on the screen, but essentially home funds can be spent on home purchases, building or rehabilitating housing for renter ownership, or to provide tenant-based rental assistance for up to 2 years to prevent homelessness. As mentioned, the fiscal year 14 home program estimated revenue was reduced by $313,000 to $80,820, and our estimate of total revenue of $310,820 includes the $230,000 we mentioned. Again, contrasting that to the number of applications, we received a request for total funding of $468,000. Again, we use the criteria that had been mentioned in the CDBG program for those to reach those numbers. In terms of next steps, after tonight's public hearing, we would follow your normal budget cycle for approval on the 14th. Plan is then to forward the plan to HUD on the 15th. They require at least 45 days for review. We are shooting for a July 1st date to receive funding and begin the new budget. Special note I would make is this is the last year of our 5-year plan, so during this next year, we will need to be developing a new consolidated plan. Are there any questions? That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we've got one person.
Yes, sir. No questions. Thank you, Fred. Our speaker is Mr. Stephen Johnson. Kia, can you assist him with the handheld microphone, please?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity again this year to thank the city for your continued funding for the Independence Center. I'm Steve Johnson, the director of the center. We're the Independent Living Center to serve Southampton Roads, which of course includes Portsmouth, and we receive funding for 30 years now from all of the cities and counties in Southampton Roads, so I guess we're fortunate along those lines. As a nonprofit, we're always, hoping and asking for greater amounts of funds, but we just appreciate being included in the funding under CDBG for this year. I guess I'm lucky to be the first speaker because I've never seen a public hearing, local one, with this many people. I guess it's hopefully a good sign. I wish I could say everybody out here is in support of my comments, but I don't think I could say that. But anyway, I'm just here basically to thank you that we were included. We provide housing counseling to people with disabilities, home modifications, peer counseling, a wide range of services. We help people in nursing homes to get out and live in the community with the supports they need. And we appreciate your support so we can continue this work.
Thank you, sir. Kia.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing specifically to solicit citizen comments on the FY 2014 Annual Action Plan. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak but did not have an opportunity to register, please come forward, give your name and address, and you'll be allowed up to 5 minutes to speak on this public hearing. Sir, you're registered on the operating budget. Okay? Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on the 2014 Annual CDBG Action Plan? This is not on the budget. Members of City Council, this public hearing is closed. 13-185, we have a statement from our city attorney.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's City Council meeting includes a public hearing and a vote on the proposed issuance by the city of $175 million in pension obligation bonds. As each City Council member may have a personal interest in the issuance of the bonds, the Virginia Conflict of Interest Act requires that each member make certain declarations prior to participating in any discussion or vote. In the interest of time, rather than have each member read the same individual declaration, I'm going to read the declaration and then ask each council person to indicate whether he or she agrees with the declaration. The declaration that each council person would have read is as follows. In order to participate in the public hearing, discussion, and vote on agenda items 13-185, which is the public hearing, and 13-187, which is adoption of the ordinance authorizing the issuance of the bonds, I have been advised by the city attorney that under the Virginia Conflict of Interest Act, I must first make the following declaration. 1, the matter under consideration includes the proposed issuance of pension obligation bonds to fund A, the current obligations of the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System, PSRS, and B, an increase in pension benefits for all PSRS members should council vote in the future to reduce or eliminate the Social Security offset for PSRS retirees. 2, as a council person, I am a member of the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System. 3, the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System is composed of approximately 450 current and past city employees and officers. 4, I am able to participate in the public hearing, discussion, and vote on this matter fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. That concludes the declarations. At this time, I ask that the clerk take an electronic roll call vote of each council member as to his or her agreement with the declaration. A yes vote signifies agreement with the 4 points that I have recited in the declaration.
Council members, at this time, if you would please make your declaration by voting yes or no. Thank you. All 7 members voted yes. 13-185, public hearing with respect to the proposed adoption of an ordinance to authorize the city to contract a debt and issue general obligation bonds of the city or notes in anticipation thereof in a principal amount not to exceed $175 million. Our first speaker is Mr. Phil Smith, and he's followed by Ms. Judy Mallory.
Hi, my name is Phil Smith. I'm the former chairman of the retirement board where I served for 6 years and actually succeeded our mayor as the chairman. I also served on the Blue Ribbon Committee that was appointed by City Council in 2008 to study the city's retirement plans. I just want to give a few brief comments in support of the proposed pension obligation bonds before Council, and specifically the $150 million for the purpose of increasing the funding ratio to the level of 80%. As the Council is aware, the 2 plans have been seriously underfunded for many years, currently paying out benefits of about $25 million versus paying in contributions of about $17 million. And the contributions and the benefit payments are so misaligned that in 1 year our investment returns were in excess of 20%, yet the funding levels continued to deteriorate. These statistics made myself and the other board members a little concerned. So we had the actuaries do some studies to tell us why the city was meeting the ARC and we were meeting the investment returns, yet the funding levels continued to deteriorate. And what they found was that sometime in 2006 timeframe, GASB passed a law that allowed municipalities to amortize their unfunded portion of the liability over a 30-year period. At the time, the city had amortized on a much shorter amortization period. what that did was basically stretch the contributions out over a longer time horizon. The problem was that these are two closed systems, and there's an older demographic, and most of the benefit payments are being paid out over a shorter time period than the contributions are being put in. So while the ARC was being met by the city, it was artificially low because of an accounting change. The board spent the last several years running different scenarios and discussing options to try to increase the funding status. However, most of them were unrealistic because they substantially increased the ARC during a distressed economic environment. I think I've read through the report, and Davenport and Company did an excellent job in presenting the pros and cons associated with the pension obligation bond. And what I consider the greatest benefit is that it stabilizes the current cash flow of around $19 million, and it minimizes the potential of volatility of the ARC going out over the next several years. And just as important, in the event of a severe investment loss of 25 to 40%, the city's annual payments are not hit as hard as if you don't take out the pension bond. The Blue Ribbon Committee and the two actuary companies, Scott and Stringfellow, the investment advisor, and the city's financial advisor, Davenport and Company, along with the credit rating agencies, have all stressed the importance of the city addressing the funding ratios of these plans. And there's only two options to do that. The first is to shorten the amortization period and put in more money every year, which Davenport has suggested would need to be around $24 million a year. And the second proposal is to take out the pension bond, which would stabilize the city's cash outlay around $19 million, and which is the current ARC for 2014. This proposal has little downside risk, which Davenport has addressed. And the greatest risk is another year after year of inaction, and then one day the benefit payments have to be paid out of the general fund rather than out of the retirement assets. I think Davenport and the city manager have put together a good proposal, and I just wanted to express my support for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. And thank you for your service to the retirement board and all that you did there. Thank you.
Following Ms. Mallory is Ms. Geraldine Granger.
Good evening. My name is Judy Mallory, and I'm a retired Portsmouth City employee. I am also a member of the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System. I worked for the city for 31 years as a supervisor at Social Services. Tonight is special for me. As one of the 400-plus former city workers, we have dreamed of this day for 3 years and some as long as 28. The last time we were before you, we made a plea for council to hear us, and tonight we hope and pray that you have. For those council members who missed our speakers, for those detractors who claim we just want a do-over, of a decision gone wrong, or that these bonds will impact the school board's budget, which they do not, or that our real estate taxes and utility rates will rise, which they won't, or for those in the audience who have no clue why we're included in the proposed pension obligation purchase, here is our story. Briefly, in 1984, city employees were required to choose between remaining with the city's retirement system or going with the state system. A company was hired to come to Portsmouth and meet with the employees affected. But that didn't happen. Some were told by their supervisors they didn't even need to go to the meetings. Others had limited education. Still others who understood what they were being told were told that the only difference between the two plans was that Portsmouth had a slightly higher rate of return and that the state plan was portable. We were never told that some cost of living raises would be forfeited, that we would be denied part of our pension or all of it if Social Security changed its retirement ages, and that, in fact, we wouldn't even get Social Security anyway because the city would use our Social Security estimate to deduct it from our pensions, or that we would have all of our Social Security payments, whether we worked for the city or at another job, either during, before, or after we left the city employ, used in total to be deducted from our pension. This became known as the offset, and tonight you, members of council, will vote that with the purchase of pension obligation bonds, you will do away with this offset, along with the obsolete code governing it, and give us back what has always been rightfully ours, our retirement in full each month. For us, the pension obligation bonds will finance contributions to the city's underfunded Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System, and no longer will 1/2 of our Social Security payment be subtracted from the amount of our city pension. The Federal Tax Reform Act of 1986 mandated that public retirement systems could no longer coordinate benefits with Social Security and pension plans. Therefore, the Virginia retirement system has never included an automatic Social Security reduction factor, and Virginia retirement system employees do not have their benefits reduced when they become eligible or receive Social Security benefits. Why are we continuing to be punished when the state mandated that you could not do this? We were never given documents to sign. You only filled out a form if you went to the Virginia retirement system. So this is a do-over? I think not. It's more like a done-to, not a do-over. There are those who say we should have known better, but people are entitled to a reasonable expectation that they be told the truth about what would happen when asked to make a life-altering, binding decision. In this instance, we had no idea that what we were being told was not the truth. As Martin Luther King Jr. believed, we straightened our backs and have worked tirelessly for what is rightfully ours. Now we are counting on you. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Mallon.
Our next speaker is Ms. Granger, and she's followed by Mr. Robert Brown.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Granger, and I'm a retired Portsmouth City employee. I'm a member of Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System, and I retired from the city with 39 years of service with the Department of Social Services as an administrative manager. Great comedians talk about timing. I've learned that we can do anything, but we can't do everything, at least not all at one time. So members of council, I urge you to think about your priorities, not in terms of what items you need to do, but when you need to do them. Timing is everything. If it's too soon, no one understands. If it's too late, everyone's forgotten. If you believe this, and I think you do, you will respect the city manager's call that now is the time to buy these bonds, which will make money for the city and will not interfere with funding needs. It will make police, fire, and PSRS solvent. We will never have this opportunity again. This is a perfect positive storm. According to Mr. Rowe and the Portsmouth fiscal advisors, the purchase of these bonds protects, not degrades, the city's credit rating. We are not Minnesota or California. We are a well-defined group whose future benefits can be calculated with almost scientific accuracy. Therefore, these bonds now must be precedence over other items, if you are wise. For once interest rates rise, which is inevitable within the next several years, the opportunity will be gone, and the city will be unable to resolve its mistakes and make good on its commitments, placing Portsmouth in possible litigation where the city could lose more than the $21 million cost for the bonds. Legally, cities cannot not fund their retirement systems. We must stay the course. When you vote yes for the pension obligation bonds, make no mistake, We will be counting the days until the bond is purchased. And we will see July 1st pass with the announcement by the city manager that the offset has been eliminated, that the code has been updated to follow federal guidelines, and inequities between retirees within PSRS are gone forever. Even so, there's still a rumor flying around that if the vote goes through, members of the Virginia retirement system will want to return to Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System. Whom are they kidding? No one in their right mind would want to switch back to PSRS, nor can they. The Virginia retirement system is portable, it has more benefits, and politics has never denied retirees their money. It's ridiculous. First, the Virginia retirement system is a modern, highly enhanced retirement system, like most in the country. Many features have been added, such as the partial lump sum payout option called PLOP, where retirees can benefit from better financial planning. Other options exist as flexibility to take portions of the benefits as a lump sum payment at the time of retirement. To those council members who have been supportive of our cause from the beginning, thank you for being brave and for using your power to stand up for what is right. We, the members of PSRS, stand firm with our colleagues, with police, and our firefighters who risk their lives daily. Here's to an end of an era, a unanimous vote, and the beginning of a new day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Robert Brown is followed by Mr. Jack Wellsby.
Good evening. My name is Robert Brown, and I'm a retired Portsmouth City employee. I'm also a member of the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System. I worked for the city for 33 years and retired as a supervisor for social services. I'm going to ask you to please look around this room and ask that if you're a member of PSRS, a family member, a friend, or a friend of a retiree, please raise your hand. Members of council, city attorney, city manager, and honorable mayor. Look at us. Our membership is made up of 400+ ordinary people whose financial suffering a result of wrongs not righted for far too long. It's unique. Tonight, we hope to prove that with your yes bond vote, ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things. Now is the time. This is the night. So that you will never forget us, we are wearing our character. Red represents our strength and stands for who we are. We are leadership. We are willpower. We are determination. We are courage. We are confident that you, the council, will vote to change our fears and anxieties to a life filled with hope and dreams and not despair and poverty. We became retirees because we proved ourselves as valued employees, working diligently for the years required to earn our pensions. Like wearing the color blue, our cloth tells you of our loyalty. And so tonight, wearing our true colors, we are of one force who against all odds have found the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. We are fathers, mothers, wives, husbands, your neighbor, your church member. We could be you, who believed that if we spoke up, even when our voices were shaking, we would eventually be heard. Your willingness to do what is right now, no matter the length of time it has taken, will return the Portsmouth Supplemental Retirement System to the accurate, trusted, healthy pension vehicle it was meant to be. We will no longer be its victims. We will be its retired partners, cheated no more. We would like to thank our new city manager, Mr. John Rowe, for stepping up to the plate and understanding the inequities, the issues, the discrimination, that PSRS face with each financial deduction. You're following the Blue Ribbons Committee's recommendation and the resolution made by a previous council on May 25th, 2010, 2 years ago, to devise a pension obligation bond without delay is what being a proactive force for change is all about. You're creating this simple, fiscally sound, workable plan supported by the city's fiscal advisor, Davenport, with the accounting verified by the pension plan actuary, New York Life, will allow police, fire, and PSRS to be properly funded and put the city's retirement programs on track. This is where they belong, neither taking from its employees nor denying its problems any longer, but solving them. We're grateful for your persistence, your astute thinking, your knowledge, and your sound advice as only we can appreciate. Most of all, we are impressed with your grit in the face of critics for being resolute that these bonds must be bought now while interest rates are at all-time lows. We'll make money for the city, will not interfere with other funding needs such as school board budgets, and will make police, fire, and PSRS solvent. Tonight, I implore you, vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Jack Wellsby is followed by Mr. Mark Godaldik-Utrovsky.
Good evening. I'm Jack Wellsby. I'm a former chairman, a member of the retirement board for about eight years, 1999 to 2007. And I was the chairman just prior to the Mayor Wright. I just wanted to say, we had an opportunity back in 2002 to try and fund our pension plan. It's going to cost about $50 million to do that. At that point in time, we were in the low 70s, high 60s as far as our funding obligation went. Well, now we're 32 and 23 or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but it's, I mean, it's way down. It can't go any further. And we now have this opportunity. 10 years, 11 years, the cost has gone from $50 million to $150 million. That's 3 times. If we don't take action now, it'll be $450 million. Can the city stand for that? I don't think so. I mean, we got to do it now. As far as the effect on the city's budget, once the bonds are issued, you know what it is that you have to pay every year to pay off those bonds. It's fixed. The ARC will continue to go up. Currently, the ARC will just about pay for the bonds. So you won't see a big effect on the city's budget. That means they can take that money, support the schools, support other things in the community. It'll be fixed. We'll know where we're going. We'll have a long-range plan. That's what financial planning is all about. And it's up to you as our leaders with a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens, I think, to vote yes for this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Let me also thank you for your service to the retirement board, sir. And I must say, as he takes his seat, that this retirement board went through some major changes under his leadership, and we're grateful for some of the decisions and the leadership that you directed us to put this thing on a better course than what it was. So, Mr. Wellsby, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow citizens. This is my 3rd time speaking to you in regard to this issue, and I'm going to hit some different areas that I've not spoken about previously. Number one, the elephant in the room is GASB 68. Although we do not know at this point in time what those regulations will require in terms of financial reporting and funding, it looks as though, according to the Boomershine report, if we do not act to acquire pension obligation bonds, we will be in a terribly bad place if the projections go forward. According to the report, one of the tables shows that without pension obligation bonds, the city could be facing an arc of $45 million a year, more than $20 million above what the near-term projection is, in the neighborhood of 20 million. And so the impact to the taxpayer would be tremendous. The other piece of that is, if we don't act before GASB 68 is announced with all the details in place, and if the estimate of what it will contain is at all near accurate, we will have a hard time getting into the market for bonds, because the market will know that we have a gun to our head. So I am supporting the $153 million portion that is just to make the supplemental retirement system plans solvent and bring them to 80% funding. With regard to the supplemental retirement system, I continue to maintain that the Social Security offset is neither morally, legally, nor ethically required, and I do not support going down that path. However, there are a couple of things that affect retirees that I think need to be changed. Number one, the Social Security offset is set to kick in at 65. The Social Security Administration rules changed some years ago, and an increasing number of people are not eligible for full Social Security until they are 66. The plans have not accommodated this change, although it is well publicized and widely known. This should happen. Number two, it is my understanding that when somebody who is drawing retirement funds but is not 65 or 66 turns 65, all the cumulative cost of living increases they have earned while they were in the retirement, while they were receiving retirement benefits, are rolled back and their benefit level is reset. I do not understand the rationale for that, and I do not believe that is equitable. That piece I would support eliminating. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing with respect to the proposed adoption of an ordinance to authorize the city to contract a debt and issue general obligation bonds of the city or notes in anticipation thereof in the principal amount not to exceed $175 million. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this specific public hearing, please come forward, give your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak on item 13-185.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Pat Simons, Mimosa Cove. I just want to add in regards to this. This is an example of what happened, what was allowed to happen by not taking care of the city's responsibilities. When the real estate tax increase swelled in 2003 from $40 million a year to 2008, $80 million a year, The council that was seated at that time took those millions of dollars and found other places to spend it. Please let this be a lesson to take care of the responsibilities of the city before spending any other money that comes in here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, members of the City Council. My name is Russell Bailey, and I am your chairman of the Portsmouth Supplemental and Fire and Police Retirement System. It is an honor and a pleasure to speak with you this evening. I bring with me the support of the Board of Trustees on the funding solution of issuing the pension obligation bond before you tonight. I would like to thank Mr. Rowe and his staff, the staff of Mr. Rose and Mr. Mason of Davenport and Company, for their briefing to the Retirement Board and allowing me to participate in this funding solution. Tonight, you heard from not one, but two previous chairmen in support of this pension obligation bond. Mr. Jack Wellsby volunteered 8 years of his life, serving 2 as the chairman, to make sure that these plans stayed afloat. Mr. Phil Smith, a very reputable commercial banker in our own backyard, served 6 years, 2 as its chairman. We also have a third past chairman among us tonight, and that is our Honorable Mayor, Kenny Wright. I've had the pleasure of serving with each one of these individuals. Though they all brought something special as in their leadership ability, it became apparent when I was selected as chairman to appreciate what they had to face as chairman and their methods in dealing with the funding issue of the 2 retirement plans. I would like to give you a short history of how we operate and the methods that we take to protect our assets. Mr. Mayor, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you were on the board at that time, but in 2008, there were the 3 chairmen that were here tonight, the 6 members of the board at the time made a very bold move. They redefined the business model and how the retirement board would conduct its affairs. They cut ties with the current plan administrator, who was also their asset advisor. They formed a partnership with the internationally known and respected investment firm, New York Life Pension Services. They installed an asset manager between them and their plan administrator, also an individual from a well-respected investment firm, Scott & Stringfellow. They revamped the investment policy, not only redefining what investments would be allowed in the portfolio, but also what percentage of our assets would be in those investments. This, ladies and gentlemen, stabilized our 2 plans during a period of economic turmoil. We conduct monthly business meetings. We meet each quarter with our asset manager to review our investments. At our March meeting, we asked our asset manager to perform an analytical review of what our portfolio may look like if the influx of these 2 funding solutions brought before you tonight. As trustees, we understand the financial markets will have its share of up and down days. We have instructed our asset manager, the plan administrator, that when the financial markets have that downward slide, that we want to land as though we're a butterfly with sore feet. Thank you for your consideration on this pension obligation bond. It has been an honor and an opportunity to serve for you as the Retirement Board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russell. Thank you for your leadership and those comments. You were spot on, sir. Madam Clerk.
Members of council, seeing no additional persons to come forward at this time, this public hearing is closed.
Move adoption?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I wish, but not yet. 13-186, item A, public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for FY 2013-14. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask for your patience. Again, we're going to call 2 names at a time. We have quite a few speakers. Please be ready to come forward when your name is called. Alex Clifton is followed by William Staples. Okay. Ms. Clifton, just before you speak.
About dealing with this bond thing before we get into
Absolutely. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'm going to make a suggestion that we deal with agenda item 13-187 before we get into the rest of the operating budget. So I'm going to make a motion that we change the order of the agenda and move item 13-187 as the next item the council will actually vote on.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically. This request is adopted 7-0. 13-187, adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia general obligation pension obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $175 million. Vision principle, efficient, responsive government. Electronic roll call, and members of council, I have a speaker or 2 on this item that you need to hear. Okay? Our first speaker is Dr. Alexandria Peck Berger.
Good evening, Portsmouth leaders, members of council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexandria Peck Berger, and some of you people may remember me as Andy Peck. I've been a resident of Portsmouth on and off for 44 years. Although I've worked and lived all over the world, when I think about coming home, I come here. I became an internationally syndicated columnist here. I was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize here, was the first woman executive at EVMS here, sat on commissions, boards, and when I was a young woman, I worked tirelessly to bring the arts and business to Portsmouth. I'm here tonight because I am both extremely sad and very hopeful. You see, about 1.5 years ago, soon after I'd returned from my other country, Australia, I received a utility bill for over $800. Obviously, I had a leak. To fix the leak, I called a man named Larry Scott, who in conversation told me a horror story at the time I thought was fantasy. He used terms that confused me. It was a long story, which by now council has heard and even may still be confused. But I no longer am. I got it. I was so incensed, suffering from a severe case of disbelief, that I agreed to come to one of their meetings. I was to find out that they were telling the truth, and no one would believe them. From that moment on, both my husband, Dr. Alexander Berger, that's where you got the other name, and myself decided we needed to stand up when called on, not sit down looking the other way. This is our city, and we are ashamed. First, a city gains its reputation for being a wonderful place to live and raise a family, not by an advertising campaign, not by city officials who give good press, but by its citizens. Word of mouth. The secret to any business's success, to any political campaign, to any product's success is word of mouth. Do you love your iPhone? You'll tell 20 people. Does your city care about you? Your real estate values will increase, your population will expand, your economy will grow. Second, a city must be solvent. A city must have a reputation for sound fiscal responsibility. A city monitors its expenditures and doesn't let surplus monies go unchecked, spent without the rule of law being upheld and honored, no matter which department, no matter the board. A city makes no excuses for bad behavior and owns up to its mistakes. Third, a city honors its employees and does not manipulate its commitments to them. It's time this city did what is right and stopped thinking about how it can get away with continuing to promote what is wrong. Fourth, council, support your city manager. He understands fiscal responsibility and credit positive management, even though it may be counter to the agenda of some of you. Leadership is the privilege to better the lives of others. You must seize this night to change things for the better. Last, PSRS has persisted, using their crisis as an opportunity to go from a well-defined group with compounding injustices to a force in Portsmouth that now has the numbers to affect elections, legislation, and politics. And after tonight, no matter the outcome, they are not going away. Battered and continually accosted for campaigning to get leaders to rectify a mess, their too long suffering has been an education, a learning experience that has made them wise. PSRS is made up of real people, people you see in the drugstore, in the supermarket, and in the street. These are your constituents, and I know you want to serve them. And you are them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mark Godaldik-Utrovsky.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow citizens. I wanted to speak under this item about the work that is yet to be done, because passing this measure is not the end of what I expect from you or what the city, what my fellow citizens should expect from you. In the Boomershine Consulting Report, there were certain policy statements that you were urged to adopt, to develop and to adopt. And those policy statements affect how this enormous pot of money is to be used and its value safeguarded. This is an enormous responsibility, because when the city is holding money for a particular purpose, it can get diverted to other purposes. And that is not my desire, nor will it be, I believe, the desire of your fellow citizens. This money is for a specific purpose. Your policy should state that any gains that come because of positive investment performance should be plowed back into the fund until it is at 100% of the annuitized obligation. You are urged in the report, and I second that urging, to develop a coherent policy that addresses cost of living adjustments for the people in the system. That is an appropriate use of this enormous pot of money. And lastly, that there is to be no diversion of any funds from this pool without a referendum put before the citizens of the city. If you get to a point, if the fund gets to a point where it looks as though it is just growing by leaps and bounds, and you have some bright idea for the use of those proceeds, lay it out for the people to approve. This is an opportunity that is too important to the future of our grandchildren and their children for you to squander it through mismanagement, through inattention, through lack of diligence. And I want to say that we, the people of this city, should receive an annual report on the status of these funds. There should be a fixed date every year. No, we don't want to have to dig it out of the CAFR. There should be time set aside. There should be a work session designated for reviewing the financial health of these funds, because we do not ever want to have to go back and do what we are doing now. So that's my charge to you. If you choose to pursue this path, these are the conditions that I set upon it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Members of council, we have no additional registered speakers.
Move adoption.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we understand that some may wish to leave. At this point, we ask if you do to please do so quietly. City Council will take a 2-minute break.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please.
Okay. 13-186, item A, public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for FY 2013-14. Our first speaker is Mr. William Staples. Is he here? And he's followed by Lisbeth Dublow.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies of council. I'm speaking concerning Independence Center. It's a great program. I've been dealing with them since 1996. People that even in people in prison, if they want to get in contact with the program, they help them just back to society as homeless, getting the license back, a place to stay, jobs, and everything. It's a great program, and I hope we always keep it up, and I hope y'all always support it. If anybody needs to get in touch with them, they need to get in touch with them as soon as possible, because it will help them, your family, and even people in nursing homes. Some of them can't scared to just back into society. I was in a nursing home myself, but I wasn't scared to just back in society. I didn't know what to do at first. Then, I got in touch with Independence Center, and the program helped me, and I have my own place, I'm independent now on my own, and I got my own church to go to, and you can move around. It's a whole lot better than sitting around, because you're in a wheelchair, that don't mean nothing. Y'all walk around your feet, and I'm getting ready to get a job now, so it's a very good program if everybody participate in it. So it's a program that can benefit everybody. And I appreciate everything all y'all councils have did for Independence Center. And I hope y'all continue to do what y'all doing, support it. And I thank y'all very much, to keep doing what you're doing. God bless.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Our next speaker is Lisbeth Dublow. Is she here? Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Elizabeth Dula, and I work at the Independence Center. I just wanted to tell you a little bit, in addition to our other speakers, about how we assist Portsmouth residents with disabilities to advocate for themselves and to live independently. We work from a peer approach, where staff who have disabilities ourselves, such as myself, can share from our own life experiences. I've worked as a peer mentor at the Independence Center for 15 years, and during that time, I've seen a lot of individuals with disabilities become independent living here in Portsmouth. As you can imagine, there are many barriers that present themselves to people with disabilities when we have goals for ourselves, such as employment, living on our own, educational goals, and being an active member of our communities. Our center works with individuals with disabilities to help them connect with resources, services, learn about our rights as people with disabilities, and remove these barriers to independence. In doing so, we offer a monthly calendar of ongoing workshops on various independent living skills, such as budgeting, social skills, planning for emergencies such as hurricanes and other events, and laws such as the Americans with Disabilities Act. We offer support groups, networking opportunities, and we also work one-on-one with individuals on specific goals that they have and barriers that they have, such as our speakers have mentioned. For example, as a peer mentor, I personally assisted several young adults with disabilities in Portsmouth to get their first apartments and to move out on their own for the first time. From there, they pursued other goals. They were able to get employment, one has gotten married, and just moved on with life like anyone else. One young adult I'm working with now just started college, and so I've been helping him to get accommodations and research some of the new assistive technology that's available to help him in his educational pursuits. Other Portsmouth residents, we've helped them to get things in their apartments like automatic door openers or other types of modifications to be independent. And again, we've helped people to move out of nursing homes and back into their own communities. We feel in our service philosophy is everyone is equal, should have the same opportunities as everyone else, and we are privileged to work with the residents of the city of Portsmouth, and we do look forward to many more years of assisting the disability community in Portsmouth. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done.
Our next speaker is Mr. Joe Wright, and he's followed by Ms. Kentrell Devon.
Honorable Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, council members, City Attorney Wilson, City Manager Mr. Rowe, Deborah White and her very capable staff, and the good Sergeant at Arms. My name is Joseph R. Wright, 1451 Welcome Road, City of Portsmouth, Cavalier Manor section. Quote, battle lines are drawn over school funding, close quote. This was the headline in Sunday's Virginia Pilot. We've had a war on crime, war on poverty, war on drugs. Now this city seems to like to have a war on the children, with the council and the manager on one front and the school board and the children on the other front. My suggestion is to cease fire, call a truce. Both sides go back to the table. Tell everybody to stop the sniping and let cooler heads prevail. Otherwise, the children, our future, will suffer and our schools will return to where they were a few years ago. Not so good. I believe that our superintendent and our school board are honorable people. And I also believe the manager is honorable, he's gifted, and he's smart. The city council members, for the most part, are also honorable people. I suggest, in my most humble opinion, the council instruct the city manager to use his expertise to devise a plan that will please both sides and end this conflict. The schools will benefit, the children will be better educated, and it will also give Gary over here some positive things to print about this council and this school board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Following Ms. Devon is Ms. Brooke Archambault.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, Miss Elizabeth Simmons. She made it personal, so I had to definitely speak with her, and of course, Bishop. Tonight, I stand on behalf of our students. I have been doing this for a long time. I launched a Say No to Sex, Yes to College campaign because our children asked me, and they started confiding in me. So I told them, I believe in you all, and I believe there's people out there who believe in them. And surprisingly, when the budget came across, and they said they would not fund our students, I've been following this closer than I have followed anything you all have ever done. I was amazed, even when it said, will you give us teachers or the paraprofessionals? So what are you asking us? Choose our kindergarten babies or our teenagers? Which one do we put on the chopping block? I could not understand because everyone ran on education for our Portsmouth school system. I do not care what happened in the past because at the end of the day, it's our babies. I have twins that are in the high school system and they're saying math, we're short on math teachers. Why give raises if our students won't be able to qualify for the jobs? What are we doing? We are digging our own ditches. And it's sad because the ones that's going to end up in it are the ones that should be our future. And you telling our teachers to go in and deal with students in an urban society. We know what that represents. It's not those babies' fault, but we put that burden on you all's shoulders to do what was right by us and by our children. Most of us, we have passed our half stage in life. So if we don't do something to protect that, what are we doing? We mourned as a nation for the children that was in Connecticut. And this day, I stand to tell you, if you cut that budget, each of you that vote no are single-handedly walking into our school systems and committing a suicide service for our own children. Because without education, where will they go? Gangs. Which one of you have stood out there and watched our young people cry because their children, their friends, their buddies have been killed? Which one? How many of you, other than the bishop, have had to stand and tell a parent, we don't know why this has happened? But you look at us in our face and you use our babies as promotional props. And then you cut our budget on education. But then we see street signs being built, lights being changed. What are we doing? Giving us lights to have candlelight visuals for our youth on the streets? It is disgusting. And I'm going to tell you, as a military spouse, I would not bring my children to Portsmouth. Reason being, education is what every parent wants to know before they move into a city. So I tell you like this. We may not be able to afford to fund these schools, but what we can afford are posters. We can afford Sharpies. And I guarantee you there won't be a student who will not assist me in making posters come voting time. I have watched and I have learned a lot through this council. And what I have learned are evil, mean, vindictive people who fight dirty to get what they want. That is what I have learned, and that is sad because you have turned your guns to my babies. I cannot afford to send them to the private school system. So I have to trust you all. And that's what we did as a body, as the Portsmouth family, as you say. But what about our teenagers? What about our babies? Don't bring up trust, because I don't want to hear it. Nobody's on that up there clean. And the one who's hollering trust, come on, let's be real. Keep my babies off your chopping blocks. Because there will be nothing I won't do to fight for them and the teachers that carry the burdens. Because it's not y'all. You go home and you're at peace. You feed your babies without concern. These teachers buy supplies for these babies, and you want to cut them?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Devon. You know, normally we sit here as council members and listen to the message. I love people who are passionate about their cause, no matter what the cause is. But you know, I hope the kids watching your speech tonight don't emulate that. To compare our action against Connecticut, what happened in Connecticut, to say that somehow that this council is baby killers, that we taking guns to babies, that's a little over the top.
Mr. Booty?
And I've seen you speak here before and do beautiful speeches. But this speech is totally uncalled for. To compare a budget process with what happened to those kids in Connecticut is just, it's awful. And I had to get that off my chest. Thank you for being here.
And I understand what you're saying, but until you live in the homes of poor families, we know when you cut education, you are killing off our children.
Thank you. Councilwoman Randall.
I would just like to say everyone, all of us, recognize the fact that those of us who've had commitments with education from day one in this city. And I'm looking out at a lot of people who I know who also have that commitment from the heart, from the spirit, as well as from the experience. I came on this council as a result of making things and helping us to recognize the fact that the children are indeed our future. And if we don't take care of them today, you're going to pay for them tomorrow. I just so happen to also be on the regional jail board. What a combination. From the schools, to fight, to city council, to make a joyful noise, and to the prison walls with those who have lost their way. We all want the best in education for our children. I've given my life for the children. My husband has. So the commitment here is evident through many of you who are sitting out in the audience, because we've been there for you, for your children. And I'm a young woman. Don't try to figure out my age. I just thought I'd let you know that. But the fact remains, education for our young people has always been very passionate for me. Because if we don't train the young people today, there will be no future for tomorrow. So let's get on the same page. Whatever it is that we're shortfalling in, let us all talk about it. I'm looking at Mr. Perrin over there. I remember when you started as a teacher, and I'm not that old. So don't try to figure out my age. But what I'm saying to you is this. This is a challenge. But we need to work it out as people who embrace our children to our hearts, because they are indeed our future. Let's not fight over them. Let's make sure we give them what they need to be the productive citizens that will be sitting in these seats telling you and your grandchildren what to do. We are all passionate about education. It's not us against you. We all want the best schools, not only in Portsmouth, in the state of Virginia, or in the city. And I know I didn't plan to make a speech, but this is my love. And I believe that we can get more accomplished by keeping cool minds, setting up what our goals and what our expectations are, and working so that we can produce the next generation. Pointing fingers is not going to achieve anything. These principals are working hard, and I'm not making a speech or anything. I'm talking from my heart. I'm praying that let's get on the right street and the right track, and let's pull together to make things better for education for all children. We can do it.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. Well done. Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Ms. Brooke Archambault. She's followed by Mr. Tom Shank.
Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, council members, Mr. Rowe. Good evening. My name is Brooke Archambault. I'm a social studies teacher at the IC Norcom High School. I am also a proud Portsmouth native, lifelong, and a very proud product of Portsmouth Public Schools. I come before you tonight for two reasons. The first being that I teach history and social studies. I preach at my students day in and day out that it is their civic responsibility to stand up when they see things that aren't right, and in a peaceful and nonviolent way, speak their mind and speak against injustice. Second of all, I come to you tonight to ask your support for restoring the $5+ million to the city manager's proposed budget to support the public schools in the next fiscal year. That money is critically important for a number of reasons, but I speak to you tonight on one that affects me the most, and that is class size. As a result of reduced funding at both the state and local levels over the past few years, class sizes have begun to dramatically increase. Initially, adding 1 or 2 students to my classroom was not terribly troublesome, but in time, that 1 to 2 became 2 or 3, and this year, that 2 or 3 became 6 or 7. Adding additional desks, bodies, and personalities to a classroom, especially when you are already sitting at a capacity-sized class, dramatically alters class dynamics, to say the least. It can also create an additional strain on teachers in terms of management and resources. Most of us have learned to work with it, but if we don't stop that trend now, we won't have anything left to work with in the next couple of years. In the past few years, over 180 teaching positions have been eliminated from our school system through attrition. At the same time that teaching positions are eliminated, however, enrollment continues to increase. This means we are often placing more and more students into classes where they lose access to individualized education and differentiated education efforts that the city and the school board have stressed so hard in the past year. In the modern era of increased rigor and increased accountability for schools, for teachers, and for students, this is simply unacceptable. Education is the only way our students, as Ms. Randall just pointed out, can become productive citizens of society. If you as a council agree to slash the school's budget by the more than $5 million as proposed, these areas of concern become more and more critical issues. This continues to contribute to an unfair instructional setting for our students and unfair demands for our teachers. By failing to serve our students now, ladies and gentlemen, you fail to serve this city's future, and that is something that I, as a teacher and as a resident, cannot and will not stand for. I am certain that is not the atmosphere or the perception that you wish to create, and I sincerely hope that each of you will restore your vote to not have those budget cuts impact our children in the ways that they already are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for what you do. No, ma'am.
I would also like to ask if there are any other educators or parents or students, some of them mine and former students, a lot of them mine. If you agree with this, could you please stand at this time?
There you go. Bring up. Bring up. Stand up. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Tom Shank. He's followed by Lee Talley.
And let me just say before Mr. Shank speak, he was our Teacher of the Year 2 years ago. Is that right, sir?
That's right.
And went on to the regionals. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
So congratulations and thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Just before Mr. Shank began, I'm sorry, Councilman.
Okay. Dr. Edmonds.
Miss Archambault, where is she? I want to thank you for your service as an educator. My wife is a retired English educator from the Portsmouth school system. How ironic.
That's right.
One of the best teachers that ever taught in our city.
That's right. Brag on.
Producing a teacher such as yourself. I'm one, and I'm not the only one on council, but we all understand the importance of school. And we want to do everything possible that we can to make sure that school works. Both of my adult sons went through the Portsmouth public school system, and they were more than fit to pass all the SATs, scored high, could go to any school that they chose to because of the tutelage that they got from the competent teachers in the school system of Portsmouth. I know that large class sizes mean a lot, and I know we can debate whether it does or not, but I know that it does make a difference. We need to put back our paraprofessionals. We need to hire some more teachers, and I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday, and we wanted to know the criticality of how many paraprofessionals needed to be hired, how many teachers. We got the word from that. And I think it seems to me that the majority of our colleagues here on this council were in favor of it. Certainly, all of us always highlight school systems when we run for office. And I highlighted it, and I stand by it, and I'm sure that a lot of our colleagues do. My colleagues do as well. And we will fight to make the schools the best, because we know without our school being where they need to be, that the city fails. And so be very careful in things that we say, because all of us up here aren't against schools. We're pro-schools. I'm a product of it. And as long as I live with the wife that I have for the past 45 years, she'll never let me forget.
That's right.
She's a part of that. So I will try to do everything in my power to make sure that our school systems, everything.
That's right.
That our school, well, let me get that grammatically correct, because my wife is an English teacher. Everything to make sure that our schools stay on top. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mr. Shank, please.
All right. Well, first I want to just thank you all for your service. I know that your job is probably not always a job where you get a lot of thanks, but someone's got to do it, and you guys are willing to do it, so thank you for that. I know that in times of short budgets, that difficult decisions have to be made. But I'd like to tell you why I believe that cutting the education budget is not the place to make up those shortfalls. First of all, I want to reference something that someone else mentioned earlier. I have some realtor friends, and we talked about housing, et cetera. And what they tell me is that the first question that families ask, that parents ask when they're talking to their realtor and looking at a house in a certain area is, what are the schools like there? And parents make decisions about where they live based on the perception, even if it's not true, based on the perception of what those schools are like. And I really believe that we've made a lot of strides. I'm in my 22nd year here in Portsmouth, and I've seen a lot of growth, a lot of positive things, a positive spiral up in the reputation of Portsmouth Public Schools. the question of that these parents ask of how are the schools where they're looking at buying a house is very important. So I'd just like to kind of take us through a possible scenario if we do cut the budget the way that is being proposed. We already know that Portsmouth is tight already. The last 5 years have been difficult. We've lost a lot of teachers through attrition and paraprofessionals. And if we lose this money, I think we're going to lose a lot more teachers. This, of course, results in bigger classes. Parents, that's a big concern for parents. And that word will get out in the community very quickly. I think as a result of large class sizes, you're going to see less people wanting to buy houses here. And you're probably going to see some people move. This is something that parents will move to have their children in a good, an area that's zoned for a good school. The result of people not wanting to live here, not moving here and moving away, is that you're going to have less demand for housing. The housing market's going to drop. You're going to have lower housing prices and less people living here. Well, where does the funding for education come from? It comes from property taxes. If the value of our homes drop and we don't have as many people living here, we have less money to spend the next year. So at that point, then the decision will be, well, what do we do? Well, we got to do some more cutting. If we cut education again, then you're just creating a negative downward spiral that is very hard to pull out of. If people have the perception that our schools are not running well or that the class sizes are very large, then it's going to start that negative downward spiral that's going to result in difficulties for the future. So my hope is that you will not allow the short-term budget problems to cause you to make a long-term mistake that will put us on a real negative path. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lee Talley, and he's followed by Ms. Kathy Harrell.
Good evening, City Council members, Mayor Wright.
Can you adjust your microphone?
Staff and everyone.
Mr. Talley, can you adjust your microphone there, please? Thank you.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Just good evening, everyone. Mayor Wright, City Council, just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to come and speak and share my view and my value of Portsmouth Public Schools. First, let me start off by recognizing Dr. Stuckwich, who I know is here in the crowd. The man is a hero to me. He has taken a school system that was spiraling downward and literally almost a biblical fishes and loaves and fed a multitude with it. And the reason...
Wow. Okay, yeah.
Hey, I have had more compliments on Portsmouth schools from friends of mine. My son has special needs. He has autism. And I work within the autism community statewide. And comparing schools in Northern Virginia, Central Virginia, schools that quote-unquote have all the money, none of them get for their kids what my son gets here in Portsmouth. And that's because of the leadership of our school board, of Dr. Stuckwich, and the administration, and down to the teachers and the paraprofessionals in the trenches fighting it out day by day to take care of our kids. When I've seen this council go back and forth with our school board and castigating Dr. Stuckwich, and the school board is criminal, and it's grand jury and this procedural, because what did they do? They built new schools. Yeah, okay, he didn't dot an I or cross a T, whatever. Everybody makes mistakes. That's why you show you work in school when you do your math problems, so you can at least get partial credit. And it's not like anybody pocketed that money. But to see that man castigated as a criminal, it disgusts me. And anyone that would do that, you disgust me. That this man in his school system has taken my son, who didn't speak till he was 3, didn't walk till he was 2.5. Now he's 10. He's everything a kid should be. And yeah, we still fight the autism, but we'll beat that. I mean, he's still my son. I don't know if we'll fix that. But what the thing is, the importance of funding our teachers and especially our paraprofessionals, it impacts individual children. And if I could speak to something Councilman Moody said, well, the lady's remarks were very strong. She had the remark that concerned me that this is not a budget process. We are not looking at numbers. I mean, on paper, yeah, it's numbers, $1 million, $10 million. It's zeros and commas, really. It's funny money, monopoly money, really. None of us can personally consider that. But it's our children. It's giving them the opportunity to be who they are, to have their freedom, to achieve that light of knowledge, to be able to have that opportunity to get that. But cutting $15 million when literally you're the finest school system in Hampton Roads, all our schools are accredited, and it's, to me, from everything I've seen, the finest urban school system in the state. If you do your job, you don't take away resources from the general that's taking it to the enemy. You give him more so you can see what else you can do with it and see how far we can come. We don't take away. I mean, we can sit here and say, oh, okay, well, we don't need $7 billion increase. Fine. But start at zero and see how much we can give to schools this year, then see how much we can give next year. But if you do take away from these children, you cut that budget $15 million, you're going to lose paraprofessionals, you're going to lose teachers, you're going to have people move. And I've personally put my financial future on the city of Portsmouth here. I've been out of work since February, just recently got employed, and we stayed here for one reason alone, and that was Portsmouth schools, because they're so integral with Portsmouth schools and CSUP and the partnership that they have for my son to be able to achieve what he can achieve and beat autism and be a productive taxpayer. And maybe one day he can stand before this city council and talk to y'all's grandkids and children about his issues of the day. But that's what's important, is these are children. These are not numbers. These aren't statistics. But if we take away that money, then they just very well may become statistics. Let's not let that happen. We've got to, you watch the news, you see these horrible things happen on TV, and you go, that's a shame. Wish I could do something about it. We in this room, all of us, we've got that opportunity to do something about it. So let's cut that sniping out. Let's get out of the paper. Let's sit down, go get some Starbucks down by the Naval Hospital and work out a deal on a napkin. Let's do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you again for your service.
All right, good night. Mr. Moody?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Talley, thanks for being here. You had mentioned a couple of times that we're cutting the school budget by $15 million.
That's what the paper says.
And I'd like to call upon our city manager. The budget we presented was certainly not a cut of $15 million. Can you speak to that, Mr. Rowe?
Yes, sir. The current budget has an appropriation of $49 million that was approved with the adoption of the budget. After the budget was adopted, Council appropriated a supplemental appropriation of $4.9 million. My recommendation in the 2013-2014 budget is an appropriation of $46 million plus another $1 million for school buses in the capital improvements plan.
Okay. Dr. Edmonds? Thank you, Mr. Rupp.
Yes, Mayor, I hear this a lot circulating, where our last speaker, Mr. Talley, said that we as a council took the school board to the Grand Circuit Court. I want to ask our attorney, did we do that?
No, sir. The city council did not participate in that.
So there was someone else that made that move and not this body?
As far as I know.
Okay. I thought that would be good for the public to hear and to go on television so that they'll know that we did not do that.
Thank you, Dr. Edmonds. Madam Clerk?
Ms. Kathy Harrell. She's followed by Mr. Donnie White.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, City Council members. My name is Kathy Harrell, and I am employed as a school bus driver with Portsmouth Public Schools. I stand before you on behalf of the bus drivers and bus monitors that are employed with the public school system. It has recently been brought to our attention that you are considering a $5.3 million cut from the school's budget. This would have an adverse effect on our department, especially pertaining to the bus drivers and bus monitors. Did you know that we have 119 bus drivers that cover 1,063 routes on average every day? We have several bus routes that do not have a permanent driver or a monitor due to the lack of funding to hire more drivers and monitors. This means that the drivers we do have are doubling up on a daily basis, and our monitors are having to jump from bus to bus, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Our drivers and monitors are being stretched to the max, and like a rubber band, when it's stretched to the max, it breaks. We have had several drivers to leave this school year, and if this budget cut is approved, I'm pretty sure we will lose more drivers, which will cause an even greater hardship than we are already dealing with. Programs such as SOLs, athletics, Port Town Magic, shuttles, field trips, after-school programs, and weekend athletic events will suffer as well if this budget cut is approved. As bus drivers and bus monitors, we would like for you to remember how important our job is. We are not just drivers, we are teachers, we are counselors, and confidants, just to name a few. Our jobs are a very important part of the school system, and we hope you will feel the same way while you're considering funding for the schools. Please do not cut the budget. The children of Portsmouth deserve safe and on-time transportation. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Harper.
Mr. Donnie White is followed by Mr. Kenneth Seminsky.
Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, council members. My name is Donnie White, and I'm the master electrician for Portsmouth Public Schools. I've been a lifelong resident of the city of Portsmouth. I graduated from Craddock High School in 1969, and I currently live in the Simonsdale area of Portsmouth. I married a wonderful woman named Donna, who is also a lifelong resident of Portsmouth, and is also a current 2012-2013 Teacher of the Year for Parkview Elementary. And so I told you that because we're invested not only in the city in Portsmouth, but in the school system as well. As we all know, there's 2 sides of the budget, the educational and the operations. And I'm going to address the operations staff. When I came to the school system in 1989, we had over 300 custodians and 32 maintenance employees who serviced 3.3 million square feet of instructional building space. That meant that the custodians cleaned over 11,000 square feet per night, and the maintenance employees serviced over 103,000 square feet daily. Today, we have 104 custodians, 19 maintenance workers who service 2.4 million square feet of instructional service. In comparison, custodians are cleaning 24,000 square feet and maintenance is servicing 126,000 square feet per day. The staffing cuts in both maintenance and custodial departments exceeded the reduction in square footage, which means that our workload has more than doubled. We are staffed so thin that building safety issues, when they arise, we do not have enough people to respond immediately. Schools have to continue to operate and can't wait for maintenance staff to arrive to make repairs. By fully funding the schools, additional maintenance staff could be hired to reduce the amount of time it takes to resolve problems that impact learning and safety. We are asking you to fund the $5.3 million school budgets because teachers as well as the operational staff need raises. We all play a significant role in the education of the children of the city of Portsmouth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kenneth Szymanski. Szymanski. He's followed by Ms. Sherry Raby.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry. My name is Kenneth Szymanski. I'm here today to speak on the recommendation to cut the school's budget by $5.3 million. I'm a locksmith for Portsmouth Public Schools, and I see firsthand the effect of cutting funds to the schools. Sometimes it takes long lead times and long approval times to buy supplies to get the parts I need because budgets are tight. I have never worked for a company that takes such a long time to get what I need, and what I need comes towards the end of the school year. This is the first place I have ever had this problem, and I feel it to be a safety issue for the staff and students. In the wake of so much violence happening in the world today, I would hate to have to look at a parent and try to explain to them why their child was hurt because we had to wait on getting funding. I'm asking you to give the school system the money it needs to help keep our children and staff safe while they are in our schools. I would also like to address the issue of increasing class size. With the funding cuts and the school system having to cut paraprofessionals, the students are going to suffer and test scores will drop because the students will not be able to get the one-on-one help that they need from their teacher. As a result, the students that are having a little trouble will lose interest and fall by the wayside. This is unacceptable and should not happen. We all have a responsibility to the children of this city, not only to keep our children safe, but to give them the opportunity to receive a quality education so that they will become the leaders of tomorrow and upstanding citizens of this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Sherry Raby is followed by Ms. Dolores Knight.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Sherry Raby. I'm a cafeteria manager at West Haven Elementary School. I've been an employee of the school system since 1983 and a resident of Portsmouth forever. Over the past 29 years, I've seen a lot of changes within the school division. I'm here to speak about the proposal reduction of the $5.3 million for the school budget. I firmly believe that the proposal will hurt our instruction and student learning. From my personal experience, I attended the real old Wilson High School. I did not graduate. I left school because I had a hard time learning, and as I felt I needed more support, which I didn't get. Eventually, I did graduate and earn my GED. I'm now attending college. Because of this experience, I sympathize with the students at West Haven. I realize that every child does not learn the same, and the class sizes are way too large. Some of the students asked us, can you help us with their homework? Because when they come through the lunch line or the breakfast line, we chat with them, ask their day, and then they asked us for help. Everybody needs to help educate our kids. I really believe with all my heart that the schools need to be fully funded because every child deserves a chance. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Ms. Dolores Knight, and she's followed by Ms. Barbetta Terry.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager, City Attorney, and citizens. My name is Dolores Knight, and I live in Craddock. I have been attending the council and the school board work sessions, and it has been chaos. School superintendent does not want to agree with any ideas that the city manager Rowe tries to explain to Stockbridge and the board. Totally disagreement and speaking out of turn. Very unprofessional. There is no wrongdoing with the $56.4 million that they have spent on recreation centers and repairs at the school, instead of returning the monies back to the budget, as the superintendent commented. He sees no wrong, but we're citizens, we really do. Maybe our real estate taxes and personal property tax would have been lessened over the years. But no, the taxes were raised. And now the school board is still asking for another increase. Also, more teachers and professionals. Superintendent Success wants 18 more teachers and professionals. The cost is over $1 million. Then council asks, which is the most important of the two? Teachers or the paraprofessionals? I'm not sure, Suckers answered with a long silence. The school board misused $56.4 million, kept the money hidden for the school board's use as needed. There are less students in classes in schools now than 10 years ago. From the report handed out, this was at the work session last night, in the year of 2003, there were 15,928 students in Portsmouth schools. In 2012, there was only 14,256 students. This is 1,672 less than a 10-year period. Yet, he increases the budget each and every year. Maybe we citizens should reverse these positions and let the school board try to see and understand what our city manager is trying to accomplish and explain to the school board to work with all the departments and all the citizens for Portsmouth, not to give away monies nor raise real estate and personal property taxes, and actually find a way to lower both for many, many good reasons, and not to have the money for any reason. There is poor communication between the school board and the superintendent. I noticed at a budget meeting that City Manager Rowe was mentioned emails and calls with the dates now that he had been talking and forwarded to Superintendent Suckwich and was to give the information to the school board members. When mentioned, they said they had never heard or received any of this information. Sounds like this is a serious problem and certainly a lack of communication. Maybe the best solution is for the school board superintendent Suckwich to resign. Thank you.
Ms. Barbita Terry is followed by Ms. Brenda Joseph.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, all City Council members, City Manager, and City Attorney. And to all of our school board members here tonight, thank you for coming out. My name is Barbita Terry, and I live at 705 Hancock Avenue in the Cavalier Manor section. Currently, I'm an instructional assistant working with autistic kids at West Haven Elementary School. I am currently working towards being a teacher right here in Portsmouth, and hopefully that'll be soon. And I want to be teaching here in Portsmouth. This is where I was educated. My father was an educator here for 35 years, and I want to follow him. So let me move right along. I have a question for the council members tonight. Is educating our children a major priority to this council? I'm sure it is. Some of you on the council were educated right here in Portsmouth. Some of you are educators in Portsmouth. I know it is not the desire of this council to see our children fail in Portsmouth. The children need your help. The teachers need your help. The city of Portsmouth needs your help. Please don't cut the funding to the Portsmouth Public Schools. And that's about all I have to say. And thank you, and we just hope that you all consider all that's been said tonight. We've already asked our teachers and paraprofessionals to stand, so I won't ask them to do that. We just ask for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Terry.
Ms. Brenda Joseph. She's followed by Mr. Al Woods.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, members of council, and fellow citizens. My name is Brenda Joseph, and I am a lifelong resident of the city of Portsmouth. I am here to speak with you tonight about the proposed budget cuts for the Portsmouth City Public Schools. Imagine your child sitting in a classroom with 30 or 35 other children, struggling to grasp the concept that the teacher is teaching. The teacher's in the room by him or herself and can't help your child. How can we reach that child? How can we ensure his or her success in life? If we do not at least maintain our current level of funding, we will be faced with more and more of this situation more often. Now, let's add to that picture. It's January. The predicted high temperature is 28 degrees. Student doesn't have a long sleeve shirt to wear. They don't have a coat or jacket that can be worn in the classroom. The heating system is broken. There's no funding to repair it. The maintenance people are busy elsewhere and can't get to it even if they did have the part to fix it. So all that child that's in that classroom can think about is, I'm cold. Who cares what the teacher's teaching? I'm cold. When am I going to get somewhere warm? Let's take a look at some other possibilities. The city decides to fully fund the school system. Your child who needs help can now get that help in one of the following ways. Being in a smaller class where he can receive more teacher attention. A teacher's assistant or paraprofessional can pull your child and some other children to the side and work with them on the skill they're trying to learn. Or, after school, that child can participate in a remediation program where tutors come in so they get the instruction from other people to help them learn. The child who's cold, they're not cold anymore because the heat works. They don't have to worry about their jacket or coat or wearing long sleeves. They can sit there and they can focus and concentrate on what they need to learn. 3 children from my home currently attend Portsmouth Public Schools. A 4th will soon be joining them. These children are the future of our city, as has been stated tonight. To ensure the successful growth of our city, to ensure the domestic welfare of our city, to ensure our children will receive everything they need for their future, the Portsmouth City Public School System needs to have their request for funds honored and approved. Build our future by supporting the educational opportunities of the children of this city, our city. Thank you for your careful thoughts and consideration of this matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Al Woods is followed by Ms. Audrey Overton. Mr. Overton.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, and Councilman. My name is Al Woods, and I am a math teacher at Craddock Middle School. It is an honor to be a teaching professional. This is my second career. I started off the first 30 years of my adult life in the military. I am a retired military officer. And I put together many budgets with demands, unlimited budgets, and you have to make hard decisions. So I'm standing before you this evening just to give you a little insight on what we teachers experience in the classroom and the impact of not restoring the cuts that's being proposed to the superintendent's budget. I started off my teaching profession. I taught at the college level. A lot of my colleagues said, well, Mr. Woods, you were teaching at the college level. Why are you in public school teaching? I wanted to give back to our community. I thought I had something to offer to our kids. So that's why I'm in the public school system. That's why I'm in a classroom potentially with students that think they have no hope. And where I'm going with this is when you get in front of those students and they see us articulate and give them the things that they need, you know, and they look at, we give them hope. We give them a chance to be all that they can be. Now let's look at the school classroom sizes. That's the salient point here. I think when you sum all of this up, you know, what we teachers are talking about is the increasing class size and the impact of those increasing class sizes on our kids. You know, we have the opportunity to get before our kids and we give them this lecture style of teaching. I did that at the college level, and that's acceptable at the college level. But I don't think I'm explaining anything that everybody in this room doesn't know. That doesn't work in our school system. That doesn't work in our demographics. We have to be able to differentiate our instruction. We have to be able to get into small groups and to provide the one-on-one help for our students. With increasing class sizes, decreasing teachers to teach our kids, that's not feasible. That's not going to work going forward. So I give you my strongest and compassionate suggestion to please reconsider those proposed cuts to the superintendent's budget. I think if we're going to prepare our kids for the future, we have to invest in those kids. And I just hope you reconsider that. Look, I'm all in. When I go to school every day, I walk in that building sometimes discouraged from a hard day teaching. All my colleagues sitting out here, they know what I'm talking about. The educator sitting there as a council member, you've been in those classrooms. They're tough teaching environments. But I'm all in. I believe in what I'm doing. So please reconsider your proposal. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Audrey Overton. She's followed by Ms. Christina Willis.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Audrey C. Overton, and I teach at Craddock Middle School. I've been there now for 11 years. That probably is going to be my home base for retirement. I'm looking forward to that. I enjoy being at Craddock Middle School. I've taught on all school levels so far. And so far, middle school has been the most challenging one of all of them. And I'm here tonight to speak to you, not for me, but for the children. And as I go to my speech, you might think that you heard it already, because my big friend over here almost said word to word what was on my paper. I couldn't believe it as I was sitting there. But anyway, I also represent the PEA and VA in the school building, so I know pretty much up to date what's going on, and I relate it back to the school, to the teachers that are there that need to know what's going on. So as I speak here tonight, I'm pleading and I'm begging for the children. We need the money. They need the money, excuse me, so that they can get all the things that they need to get and to continue to get them. I've heard almost from everybody that's come up here to speak use the word future. The children that we're teaching now are our future. They're the ones going to be taking care of me, hopefully, in 10 years when I'm rocking and enjoying the rest of my life. Yes, I may not look as old as I am. I'm like that. Some people just young looking. What can we say? But tonight, I'm putting the word, the HERO, in your hands. You're going to become the heroes for the Portsmouth Public School students. Thank you for listening for me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Christina Willis. She's followed by Ms. Gwendolyn Mann.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, and Council. Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Christina Willis, and I am a Portsmouth Public Schools teacher. I teach social studies at Parkview Elementary, 6th grade. But also, I'm a native of Portsmouth. I attended the schools from elementary up through high school, and I've come back to Portsmouth to teach in Portsmouth. I'm here in support of the schools, but also the community and my colleagues that are behind me, and especially our students, the ones who cannot be here tonight to speak for themselves. Students who need our support, and we owe them that support, and we owe them quality, but we know quality cost. Smaller class sizes we've been hearing about all night long. And highly effective teachers are a very important component, but that cost. Supplies, resources, cost also. Portsmouth can do great things, and Portsmouth has done great things. And our communities and our young people are depending upon us to continue to do these great things. And we need your help to make that happen. But you must invest in the quality of the education that we need to give our students, because that's what they deserve. And needless to say, quality costs. Our children and all children need and deserve a quality education. We have to put the kids first. They can't do it for themselves. They depend on us for that. If we don't do it for them, who's going to do it for them? They're our kids. They're Portsmouth's kids. Having said all this, with all my heart, I am asking you to find it within yourselves to fully invest in our children and Portsmouth Public Schools, so that we may achieve and continue that level of quality in education that our children, our communities, and our city needs and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Ms. Gwendolyn Mann. Is followed by Ms. LaWanda Turner Hamlin.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Gwendolyn Mann. I'm a teacher with Portsmouth Public Schools. I teach second grade at Parkview Elementary. I would like to ask for your consideration when approving the city budget in regards to our schools. My passion is the needs of our children. However, our class sizes are becoming increasingly large at a detriment to our students. Smaller class sizes produce higher test scores, better grades, and improved attendance rates. Therefore, I urge you to reject any additional cuts to our school budgets. It is in the best interest of our students and ultimately the future of Portsmouth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Ms. Hamlin is Ms. Gracie Bowers.
Good evening. Whew. To Honorable Mayor Wright and all other council members this evening, good evening. My name is LaWanda Turner Hamlin, and I live at 4618 County Street. And as you can tell, I'm nervous. Okay. First, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to stand before you today. I know you've heard a lot, so there's really no need for me to go through all that I've written. I'm just going to give you a little bit. I'm a concerned parent. I have a fifth grader at a public school here in Portsmouth. I'm a PTA president at a public school. I believe in the public schools. I'm a product of the public schools. And so far, I don't think there's nothing wrong with my life right now because of that. I thank you for just being who you are and listening to all that you've heard today. Some good, some bad. But I just appreciate that you've allowed us to come before you because you really didn't have to do it. So thank you for that. Briefly, I just want to say that our school system continues to meet the state's high standards and rigorous curriculum. They continue to do so much with our students despite what's given to them. Portsmouth schools do the awesome job from the superintendent down to all the crossing guards. Each and every Portsmouth school employee deserves a Medal of Honor for all that they do each and every day. I'm afraid that by cutting and then cutting again the budget, you would be cutting our children's opportunity for success. And if you cut our school system short of what we can continue to do with our students. I don't know if many of you have visited the school systems lately to see how our talented and highly qualified teachers and staff have been hard at work with the students in our fine city. But if you haven't, I urge you to do so and do so soon. You will see that we have few teachers. The ones that are left are dedicated and committed to providing quality instruction to all students. I repeat, all students. Don't get me wrong, I know the task is not easy. Portsmouth has its challenges, just like so many other cities. But let's make a difference starting with Portsmouth. Let's put Portsmouth on the map to say, hey, Portsmouth doing something right. They are putting their kids first. They're putting the students first. They're putting their Portsmouth Public School Board members first. I know you can't give us everything, but we're just asking and pleading that you with you tonight to please give us this one thing that we're asking for. In order to stay competitive with our neighboring divisions, we must continue to focus on our students' academic needs and help propel them to the level of success and that what the state is requiring from us. I'm advocating our school system for our children of City of Portsmouth. For them, we need you to please fund the current proposed school system budget for the year 2013 to 2014. As the lady said earlier, don't do it for me. Don't even do it for the past. Don't do it for the future. Do it for the right now. We need you right now to fund, and please fund for us right now, for the pre-K, for the elementary, for the middle school, for the high school, and even further. We truly need you. I'm a nervous wreck, but I decided I'm going to stand before you because I take it seriously. This matters to me. I want a better education for my child, and I want my child to stay in Portsmouth Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well done.
Following Ms. Bowers is Ms. Angela Peterson.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, our City Manager, greetings. I am Gracie Bowers, a resident of Churchland in the City of Portsmouth, and I answered the call. We read a book recently during our professional development that said teachers, true teachers, really answer a calling. And I am a new teacher, and I am still just so excited about teaching. I'm currently at Churchland Academy, where I have the pleasure of teaching second and third grade students. As a teacher, we serve on a daily basis as teachers, mentors, parents, social workers, just to name a few. And sometimes I feel as though I'm even a magician because I never know what trick I'll have to pull out of my bags. We do this on a daily basis out of love and respect. We do it with limited resources. We do it with limited staff. The quality of education that Portsmouth Public Schools provides our students is invaluable in preparing them for the future. I know this personally because I speak not only as a teacher, but I also speak as a parent of two daughters who are both the products of Portsmouth Public Schools. One was your 2008 valedictorian of Churchland High School. They both were honor students who have gone on and graduated from college and are both now currently in jobs that are very competitive. When I think about the cuts that are going to happen or that's being proposed, it really saddens me. The school system so far has had cuts that have impacted the services we deliver and the way that we teach. We continue to strive to prepare Portsmouth Public Schools to be competitive as our leaders of tomorrow. With proposed cuts, we've reached the points where we are all afraid of the impact that the additional cuts will have. And you've heard it all earlier tonight. Fewer teachers, fewer staff, fewer programs. Larger classrooms can all have negative impacts on classroom performance by students as well as staff. In a class that I'm taking right now, we had to watch a video which was entitled "The Cloud in the Sky" by Sugata Mitra. And what he did was go to an impoverished country who had never had computers before. He placed a hole in a wall or a hole in a fence, and on the other side of that, he placed a computer. And there were lots of children that were gathered just to see what would happen if those children were left alone. He went back a few months later and saw that the children, even though they didn't speak English, had figured out how to use those computers. What he proposed was changing the way our educational system is right now. He felt that since they learned, maybe we didn't need teachers after all, that the children were okay being set up in some type of environment where there was like a grandmother who was kind of watching over them. I disagree in my response in my class that we can never replace teachers. We can never replace the services that we can provide to the students. I ask you tonight to please be lenient, please be fair, please consider the children before making any other cuts in our school budget. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Angela Peterson, and she's followed by, excuse me, I'm going to tear this name up, Dichi Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Angela Peterson, and I am a third grade teacher at Douglas Park Elementary School. We all know the proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. This village is called Portsmouth Public Schools. In our village, we have the city council members, the school board members, teachers, students, parents, nurses, cafeteria workers, custodians, librarians, bus drivers, teachers' assistants, administrators, and volunteers. In this village, our main priorities are the students' education and a better village, which is our Portsmouth Public Schools. We want to have the best village in the Hampton Roads, and we cannot do this without working together. If one of our village leaders fail, then we all fail, because in our Portsmouth Public Schools, we do not want any failures. We want to give every child a chance to be productive in life because it starts with a good education, like we all have. So without your support and the appropriate resources and money, they will not have the chance. So I'm asking, please give them a chance. The mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Ms. Reynolds? Is she here? Okay. Ms. Regina Marshall? Okay. Mr. Paul Sarandria? Close is good. Close is good. He's followed by Mr. Michael McCormick.
Good evening. As a teacher here in Portsmouth for over 20 years, I've seen many changes. However, there is one thing that hasn't changed. Class sizes do make a difference. Cutting funding to our schools will only increase the issues of class size that we face today. When classes are so full that the teacher can't move around the room, learning is impacted. When classes are large, the use of hands-on activities is limited and learning is affected. When classes become overcrowded, discipline issues increase and the learning environment is compromised. With the pressures of accreditation always increasing, we need all the help we can get. Reduced class sizes helps teachers individualize instruction and learning of each student. Smaller class sizes allow students to get more face time with their teachers, and students are more likely to work in small groups with classmates. Thank you for your time, and I know that you will make the right choice for the children and students of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Michael McCormick. Ms. Emma Rawls. Ms. Star Williams. She's followed by Mr. Mark Godaldi-Kietrovsky.
Good evening. My name is Star Williams. I live on Peach Street in Portsmouth. Currently, class sizes are large and will become larger. We have lost 180 teaching positions and over 90 teaching assistant positions. We must support the future of our children's education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mark Godaldi-Kietrovsky. He's followed by Ms. Donna Sy.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow citizens. You've probably noticed that the population of the chamber has declined as the hour has grown later.
We're wearing them out.
The thing about teachers is they have early wake-up calls. And so they have come, they have shown their faces. Those who could speak have spoken by and large. There might be a few more hangers-on here. And I think the world of them. During my brief time in the classroom, I met so many dedicated talented, energetic, enthusiastic, and hardworking teachers. It's the thing that I miss about not being there now. But in Portsmouth, if you are going to teach our children, you need to be a superstar. That's the way it is. And I realized that I was not at that level. In the classroom, I was merely competent, and you need a higher level of performance in Portsmouth. So I got out of the way to make room for somebody who was at that level. And I have seen them in the school system. And it is important that we retain them if we are to have a bright future, because our students are worth the work. Our students are worth the effort. I felt that I could be more of a booster for them here and in other public venues, advocating for education, advocating for appropriate levels of funding. Now today is the Bard of Avon's nominal birthday. They're really not sure what day he was born, but they settled on April 23rd just so there'd be something to hang our hats on. And to quote the Bard, "Figures deceive not, but deceivers canst figure." And so when you take a CAFR for the school budget and, in essence, a snapshot of what the schools have at a given moment in time, and start making predictions about what the schools can or cannot do without, and draw your budget based on that, you are deceiving with figures. The school board has no fallback fund. The city does. If the geniuses in the General Assembly, who allowed for elected school boards but gave them no independent funding of their own, had considered the corner they were painting them into, I would hope that they would have seen the error of their ways. But they have not. And it's up to you to do your part for us. Because anybody here who says they have no children in school must not live in the city of Portsmouth. I have 14,000 children in this school system, as does everybody else. And it is for us, for our own future, that we have to ensure these children get what they need. And it is the school board that is entrusted with doing that. Do not hobble them. Do not hamper them. Do not hinder them. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Donna Sy is followed by Mr. Gary Westman.
Come here, buddy.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sy. I live in the Woodbine Farm section of Churchland. Principles of Liberty 23. A free society cannot survive as a republic without a broad program of general education. The Founding Fathers believed in education of the whole people. The intention of the education system was for children to grow up to become well-informed citizens through their own diligent self-study. What is the intention of today's Portsmouth schools education system? Will it be more of the same from years past? The past intention of the education system has been secrecy and collusion. The citizens haven't been well informed, so they could be diligent in self-study. The superintendent's salary and car expenses it adds up to about approximately $187,400 a year. He oversees the instructional expenditures per student is almost $6,000 a year, and the support expenditures that includes categories of students, staff, general administration, school administration, operations, transportation, and other support expenditures, which totals over $4,000 per student, which is more than the state average of $3,847. The support expenditures higher than the state averages were in the categories of staffing, operation, and other. The grand total for educational expenditures per student includes instructional expenditures, support expenditures, and non-instructional expenditures equals to $11,889 per student per year. This doesn't include the cost of the 68% of the students who are on free and reduced lunches. This doesn't include the money given to the schools through the RISE Ministry grant of $425,000, which was added to the grant of $2,721,000 for the meals and snacks the school will provide through their catering business. The Portsmouth Public School District has their own CPA for their financial accounting. Why was she not present to answer questions at last night's budget work session? Here are a few responsibilities of the superintendent. Develop and recommend to the board long-range plans consistent with population trends, cultural needs, and the appropriate use of district facilities. And see to the development of long-range plans which are consistent with board objectives. See that the development authorization and the maintenance of an appropriate budgetary procedure is properly administered. Prepare the annual proposed budget and submit it to the board by March the 1st or at such early a date as necessary to provide an adequate opportunity for the board's discussion and deliberations. See that all funds, physical assets, and other property of the district are appropriately safeguarded and administered. File or cause to be filed all reports, requests, and appropriations as required by various governing bodies and/or board policies. Instead of the superintendent providing necessary documents, the city manager, along with our CPA and financial assistants, have had to dig through many resources to find documents to make a decision about the amount of money necessary to appropriate in the school's budget. Superintendent has failed to uphold the standards of his job description. The other problem is that the superintendent, okay, I'm going to skip on over. The superintendent has failed to be transparent with the use of the citizens' money. My recommendation is to find another superintendent who will perform all the duties and accept all of the responsibilities required of a superintendent as prescribed by the education laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia and others. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Gary Wiseman. Let's go. Mr. William McCullum. He's followed by Ms. Pat Simons.
Mayor Wright, members of the council, Mr. Rowe. My name is William McCullum. I'm an instructional leader of health and PE at Woodrow Wilson High School. I'm also the president of the Portsmouth Education Association, representing over 1,000 Portsmouth Public School employees, most who live in your voting district. I want to speak to you tonight about the importance of restoring the $5.3 million to the city manager's recommended budget in support of the school board's budget. Since 2009, our school budget has lost $15.7 million in state revenue. The results of this loss has meant that our employee salaries have lost buying power to health insurance increases and the general marketplace. Our school board's budget includes a 2% increase for all staff, which will be partly supported by state funding if it becomes reality. But that money funds only the state's portion of the increase and only for the teachers that are funded by the standards of quality. Approximately 20% of our teaching force are funded entirely by local funds, and more of our support staff are included in that 2% state funding because it is for teachers only. All of our employees deserve to earn the dignity of a small raise. Each and every employee of the school system provides a crucial service for our students, regardless of their job title. Our staff has had significant reductions since 2009 because of budget cuts. We have done more for less for a number of years. Let me say that again. We have done more for less for a number of years. That service and dedication cannot be taken for granted by this council, and I urge you to restore the funding to the school board budget. May it be a paper cut or a budget cut. They both hurt children. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Pat Simons is followed by Liam.
Good evening again, Mayor, honorable members of council and staff. Pat Simons, Mimosa Cove. I want to start off by saying I admire your restraint sitting up there. All of these people are coming up here before you and putting the fact that they have lost teachers and paraprofessionals on your backs. When the superintendent did it to them, he had all the money in the world, 50-some excess millions of dollars, and he purposefully, according to the grand jury report, which a lot of people have seen, it states by creating funds from attrition to be placed in the school construction fund without city council approval, the school board was allowed to funnel funds from those devoted to our most important asset, the educators of our children. They did this. They cut the teachers, 180 teachers and 90 paraprofessionals. You didn't do it. They did it to themselves. I watched last night's budget workshop, and I watched some of you sitting there dreaming how you could come up with another $2.3 million so they can hire 12 teachers and a handful of professionals. And the superintendent said his strategy of operating with less people is now being questioned by the state. He took responsibility. He said it was his strategy to operate with less people. He said, that's how we got this surplus, folks. We need to get people back now. He said that they had cut 180 teachers and 90 paraprofessionals over a 6-year period. That's the 6-year period, I guess, where he racked up the $52 million that he spent. The only good thing there is it was spent on schools, so we have some nicer buildings. But yet, did you hear what I heard? Somebody coming up here and talking about cold classrooms? Why should that be? Well, I mean, we built brand new gymnasiums. We built culinary centers. We built child care centers in the high schools. You know, if there's a child sitting in a cold room somewhere, it's his fault. They chose to let the educators of our children go. They would not be in the situation if they had given proper thought to their actions. Now, schools are the heart and soul of communities. Every one of us here knows that. We agree with that. They are the constitution that cultivates our future. Children are our future. And just like Mark said, every one of us in this room has 14,000 of them in school here. Now, people move into neighborhoods because of the schools located there. I heard somebody say that. My house has been on the market for several months now, and I can't find anybody willing to move into Portsmouth with children. I actually had a couple that was going to make me an offer, and they said, oh, no, this is Portsmouth. They turned around and left. They wouldn't send their children to school here. I have neighbors that are leaving Portsmouth because of that. Patrick Small, a couple years ago, interviewed a whole group of realtors, and they said there are 3 reasons why people won't even look at homes in Portsmouth: education, crime, and taxes. And that was a few years ago, and we're still in the same boat. Only the boat isn't floating quite as high in the water now. My wish is that Portsmouth schools would draw families into the city. And what is keeping that from happening? That's the real bottom line here, and that's what everyone needs to work towards. I don't know what the issue is with the school board, but when I watched the April 16th workshop, and I saw the anger and the animosity that was directed towards you, all the council members, by those school board members, they came to that table, they were invited to that table, and they came full of anger. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And I think everybody in this room needs to go and look at that video online from the April 16th video website, city's website, and see exactly the anger bestowed by those school board members. And I want to tell you, Ms. Devon, her speech was right there with them. I think she probably was sitting in the room on the 16th because she carried that anger and animosity right up here and displayed exactly what the school board did to you. So I'm telling you, I applaud the city manager for suggesting that $46 million and stick with it.
Did she say she's selling her house?
Trying to. Okay. Our next speaker is Liam Colquitt. Did I say that?
Is that right?
Okay. They must be gone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for 2013-14. At this time, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak but did not have an opportunity to register, please come forward, give your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak on the public hearing to consider the annual operating budget for 2013-14.
May I speak?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Whitney Guyton. I live at 529 Normandy Street here in Portsmouth, Virginia, 23701. I got to Portsmouth by accident. I didn't want to come to Portsmouth, actually. My condo sold quickly in Norfolk, and I did not have a place for my family to go. And at that time, we only had 3 children here in Portsmouth. And when I first got here, I did not allow my children to go to school here. I got up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning to fight traffic to take them to the Larchmont area of Norfolk, Virginia. And I did that for a year. And my children are exceptional. They are honor roll students. So the principal there at Larchmont allowed my children to continue to go and wrote to the superintendent to allow them to stay for that year. But Dr. Horn, she has already left. I live in the Victory Elementary School District. And before myself and my spouse allowed our children to go to Victory, we sat down with Dr. Horn because I am a product of an educator. My mother is the Michael Jordan of teaching. She is awesome. And that's why I can't teach, because I cannot do what she did, because I believe it's an art form to be able to be an awesome teacher. And I watched her in the picket lines back in the 80s at Chicago. That's where I'm from. So I understood the struggle that she had as an educator, all the way from kindergarten until she became a principal, and what she had to go through in the inner cities of Chicago. So education is my foreground. I have a master's degree, not because I wanted to, it's because I'm a therapist and I had to get one. And I'm also a business owner here in Portsmouth. And when I sat down with Dr. Horn, I said, I'm allowing you to continue to cultivate my children. And if you cannot do so, I'm putting them in private school. Real talk, if she was here, she would tell you that I was going to put them in private school. And after we've been here for about a year now, we have 2 more. Well, we've been here 4 years, but after that year, I have now 2 more children. My oldest son came to us, and he was on an IEP. And again, I sat down with Dr. Horn. I said, listen, he's smart, and they want to tell him he's not. And whoever he was with beforehand wanted to get a check for him. And I said, not here in this household can he do absolutely anything. Now my child is going to Craddock. And though we still have some struggles, Dr. Horn still has them now in Craddock. But though we have still have troubles, I had a child who had D's and E's coming out of Virginia Beach. And now he is having A's and B's coming here. So I am proud now to be a parent
of children here in Portsmouth. What I am not proud of is that I am a business owner and an investor. I buy property here. I rent them out to the Community Service Board and Department of Social Services. And a lot of my people that we're trying to actually help to uplift don't want to come here because of the school systems and there are other issues, but right now all we're talking about is the school system. So as a property owner, an investor in Portsmouth. It's the weirdest thing. I hate Norfolk now. Don't tell anybody. I don't even like really going to the city of Norfolk. It's just too much for me. I actually am very proud and I love the city of Portsmouth. And for people to tell me that they won't buy from me or rent from me because they don't want to come to the city of Portsmouth saddens me. So I don't know whose fault it is. I'm not going to make any blame, but I have had signs for a lot of you in my front yard that I voted for. So I need you to do something. Please don't cut the classrooms. Please don't cut the teachers. I don't know if that's the 100% answer. If that is the only answer that you guys can come up with, please go back to the table. I will sit at the table with you because I have a whole community of people that are willing to. I know a lot of people are angry, but we're passionate. So I am angry, but I will continue to show my passion first before I give you my anger because it's not a good anger when it comes out. But I want us to do something. I don't know if it's the superintendent. I'm not going to get in the name game and the blame and all that other stuff. All I care about are the 5 little Guyton children that are living in my household and all the other little children that are in my neighborhood. Because though I'm cultivating brilliance, we also have to have these teachers here because not every parent is like Whitney. And so where some of us parents lack, I need these teachers to bring up. And if we don't have great teachers and great administrators, then what do we have? Again, I see that's my time. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you guys. I know it's late. And I just want to say thank you to all the teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, whatever you are in the school system. I applaud you because that's what...
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council and staff. My name is Steve Carroll, 3112 River Ridge Drive. You know, King Solomon was faced with a tough decision. 2 women were claiming paternity over a child, and he had to cleverly resolve the problem. What we have here is an issue of credibility. The school board has turned in a budget request, and it's up for council to decide whether it's legitimate or not. As you've already heard, the very people that they claim they need are the very people that this superintendent and this school board let go. They sacrificed the needs of the children for parks, for gymnasiums, for school repairs that I question whether they were actually needed or not. The school that my wife attended to in upstate New York was built in 1934. It is the envy of any school in this city because it was maintained and taken care of. It doesn't have graffiti all over the walls. The doors aren't ripped off the hinges. The kids there respect and give respect because it's expected. The superintendent, if I had done what the superintendent did with the school budget, I'd be in a federal penitentiary right now because of the job I have. I'm responsible for accounting for every penny that I spend in that budget. I work for a defense contractor, and Mayor Wright, you know exactly who I work for, and you know the circumstances that I'm talking about. We have people on our school board who advocate giving 50% scores for literally doing nothing. Our problem is not with the teachers. I admire teachers. And no one on this city council or in this room tonight, and myself included, want to see our children hurt. The problem here is a superintendent who circumvented the law and a school board that circumvented the law. You can call it legal or illegal all you want. Okay, the bottom line is they shouldn't have done what they did. They want to argue that we take this before the public. If they really needed those schools and they needed to spend the money the way they did, why didn't they take that to the public? They chose not to. They chose to do it behind closed doors. I can work with people that I disagree with because in the matter of discourse and communication, reason prevails. I cannot work with people I cannot trust. The school board and this superintendent violated the public's trust. They violated the trust of the parents to do what's best for the kids. He, as Mrs. Simon said, was the one who got rid of the very people they want to hire. Mayor, you want to give the schools another, what, $1.5 million to hire 55 aides? Those are the people he got rid of. And you're saying you don't know the numbers. We're talking about a school budget here. We're talking about a big city budget, and we don't know the exact figures we're dealing with. That's your job. That's your job that you have to consider before you make this decision tonight. Again, no one wants to see the schools hurt. And I value education. I'm an educator. I'm an instructor at my place of work. And I depend on having quality students come to me that I can train. I'm training them how to build and repair submarines and aircraft carriers. So I do not minimize the importance of education. But there's something terribly wrong here. And there's the problem right there, sitting behind me. That is the problem.
Ms. Johnson, before you speak, are you still going to speak on Parks and Recreation?
Yes, I am, but this
Okay.
is about the school.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Rowe and Mr. Wilson. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to call names. I'm going to tell you a story. About 4 years ago, I went shopping with my niece. While we were in there shopping, we ended up spending about $68.37. Young lady at the cash register rang me up. That was my total. As luck we had, all I had was a $100 bill in my hand. Cash register went down. Young lady, a senior at Churchland High School. She said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't give you your change." I said, "What's the problem?" She said, "I don't know how much change I owe you." I said, "And why is that?" "My cash register don't work." I said, "Well, sweetie, out of all due respect, let me ask you another question. Did you take math?" She said, "Yeah, but I didn't need it this course." I said, "You graduating?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, can you count your money?" She said, "Yeah, I count my money. What's your problem?" I said, "I don't have a problem, sweetheart. You do." To make a long story short, the young lady proceeded to give me some change. The young lady gave me $68.37. Now, had I been a dishonest woman, I'd have taken that money and ran out the store. But I used that as a teaching moment, which is why I love me some teachers. When I was in school, we were taught not mathematics, we were taught arithmetic. We were taught spelling. And one thing we learned to do, count our money. You have folk come here from other countries, before they learn to speak our language, they count their money real good. We need our teachers. We truly need our teachers. And I hope everybody got that story. I am a high school dropout. I went back to school. I got my GED. I retired after 30 years of service at Ford Motor Company, proud. I was the first black female utility worker at Ford. I was the first black student to graduate from Ford School for the GED, and I'm very proud of that. But before I left Ford, I had to teach a bunch of men how to tear down a truck. I had to teach a bunch of men how to calibrate and inspect the well. It comes from great teachers. My daughter's godmother was a teacher, English teacher, very good teacher. And I hated when she came home. Some days, I'm so sick of this. But because of her determination, she got students living in Australia, in Alaska, come back and they honor her. That's what good teachers do. Portsmouth has some very good teachers. Let's not ruin them. Let's not take away that light. Let's give them what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, members of council, and all those assembled. I'm gonna make this quick to wrap it up. I'd like to thank those who come out for support of the school system. We need the help. I'm reminded of how many years ago we've done this. I think this is my third time participating, that we had to come before council in masses. And I don't like to think of it as drawing the battle lines. I don't know where that came from. I think it came from when we decided to give you what we thought was what we needed. We didn't expect you to try to give us $15 million all at one time, but we gave you a picture of what we needed. And that's what we tried to do. And some people are coming back and say, did we make the right decision or the wrong decision? I said, I think we made the right decision because now they know what we need, at least at this point in time. Whether or not we get is a different story. I'd like to leave you with two things. Last Friday, we had the president of the State Board of Education down to take a look at our star-based program over Victory. And this guy's from Arlington. Now, we got people from the north coming down looking at us. I think we're doing some things right here. It's just that the wrong people keep putting the wrong message out. I can't prevent that. All we can do is just ask our people to do what they're supposed to do. And I got to congratulate these teachers because they're letting you know they work hard. Just like your people work hard, our people work hard. But last but not least, I'd like to leave you with this. Portsmouth Public Schools, modern, safe, effective. Every school new or rebuilt. A nurturing environment, affording every child opportunities to excel. Portsmouth Public Schools, preparing the future. You know where that came from? That's your advertising that you're running on TV. That's your advertising. So I think council's proud of this because they had to have your blessing to put it out there. So we're proud of what we've done. May not have been done properly to everyone's content, but it was in the best interest of not the 14,000 children, but the 97,000 people that live in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Members of council, seeing no additional speakers coming forward, this public hearing is closed. Item B, public hearing to consider the annual operating budget that establishes, excuse me, and increases rates on fire protection and prevention, libraries and museums, parks and recreation, and police fees, and includes proposed rate changes to take effect on July 1st, 2013. Our speaker is Ms. Alvera Johnson.
Again, good evening. I'm gonna help you with that name. It's Elvira.
Elvira, gotcha.
Good evening to all y'all. I'm not even gonna be here a good 2 minutes. I just want to just let you know Since I was here 2 weeks ago, I'm just happy. I'm just very, very, very happy. I've been in touch with Parks and Recreation and Mr. Wright, and everybody seems like they just come into whatever so we can do what we need to do for the facilities out in an area that we need in Wilson Ward and other places. I have talked to so many people, and they are excited to know that just by speaking out and letting people know the needs where we are, because we have nothing where we are, and people are so willing to come forward to help us. I'm just appreciative to the board and everybody else. I was also told to tell the mayor that May 11th is coming, and you got your shirt. Let's walk.
Thank you very much. Is it my size?
Tonight it will be.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing to consider the annual operating budget that establishes or increases rates for fire protection and prevention, libraries and museums, parks and recreation, and police fees, and includes proposed rate changes to take effect on July 1st, 2013. At this time, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this specific public hearing and did not have an opportunity to register, please come forward, give your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak on this public hearing. Members of council, this public hearing is closed. Item C, public hearing on recommended 2014 through 18 capital improvement program. Our speaker is Mr. Mark Godaldik-Yutrovsky.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow citizens. Ms. Johnson anticipated my speech, and Ms. Devon, who's left, has also struck a resonant chord in terms of the needs of young people that go beyond the realm of the schools into what they do with their leisure time. And I've reflected on what you all did earlier this evening for the benefit of 440 individuals, some of them in this city and some of them out. You committed $175 million of taxpayer money over a 24-year period of time. That's a lot of money for very few individuals. But we have a moral, legal, and ethical obligation to fund the retirement plans that were set up for them. So you did what was necessary to keep those plans solvent. But in doing that, you have pushed back some other needs in the city because we have only so much borrowing capacity. And I think it's important that you work on how to meet the needs of those young people. Somebody figured out a lot of years ago, and this was before the spiral of tuition costs began, and they're still continuing, that it was less expensive to pay full tuition, room and board for a student at UVA, less expensive than to send somebody to prison. And I'm guessing that despite the inflation in the education sector, it probably still is. This is our challenge. We need to ensure that young people, when they are not in school, have productive ways to channel their energies into athletic programs, into team sports, So they're not engaged in non-productive, in fact, self-destructive activities that will land them in prison. These recreational facilities that those ladies have spoken to you about, and others have over time, are significant investments in the future of this city that need to be addressed. I don't see it happening in this year's budget, but it needs to be on the horizon. It needs to be sooner rather than later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on the recommended 2014 through 18 capital improvement program. At this time, if there is anyone in the audience that would like to speak but did not have an opportunity to register, please come forward, give your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak on the proposed recommended 2014 through 18 capital improvement program. Members of council, this public hearing is closed. City Manager's Report 13-188, adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of City of Portsmouth, Virginia, general obligation refunding bonds in the aggregate amount not to exceed $52 million. Vision principle, efficient, responsive government, electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers. Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. 13-189, adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 22-398 of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia to increase the legal speed for the operation of mopeds in the city. Vision principle, bold new directions, electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers.
Move adoption.
Second. Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you're voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. 13-190, adoption of an ordinance establishing a personal property tax relief percentage of 53% for calendar year 2013 personal property tax bills. Vision principle, a robust economy for working men and women. Electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers. Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 7-0. New business 13-191, boards and commissions. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, members of council, there are no boards and commission appointments to announce tonight.
Thank you. 13-192, items submitted by council members.
Yeah, real brief. Let me just, first of all, thank and congratulate Chief Ed Hargis and the police department. Councilwoman Simmons and I attended the award ceremony last week. Was it Friday? I forget. And the retirement ceremony. And we want to congratulate all of those individuals for the work that they do. And secondly, I just want to make sure everyone that's in the audience, the few of you that are here and those on television, understand that we're having a great kickoff Saturday at the Intello's Amphitheater, where we will try our best to launch the healthy initiative to fight back obesity, diabetes, and all of those things. And we're looking for grand attendance and appearance by all of our citizens. And we've got a lot of positive response and people calling and wanting to know what time and what all the activities. So we're looking forward to Saturday, the 27th at the Intello's. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. Wanted to mention that I was invited as a member of the Personnel Committee along with Vice Mayor Cherry. I was invited to attend the Neighborhood Academy that's run by Bernadette Hogg, our ombudsman. And she had, I don't know, about 15 people in attendance, all ready and willing to serve the city in some capacity in the future. But the important thing, they're taking their time to get involved in the city, to learn how government works, and they seem to be a very enthusiastic bunch. Also, Mayor, myself, you, Councilwoman Simmons, and Vice Mayor Cherry also participated in the Walk for Hunger.
Absolutely.
That the Oasis put on this past Saturday. Gee, must have been 100 to 125 people out there that were in support of trying to combat hunger. I was really impressed with the remarks of Bruce Rader. He kind of put it in perspective that a country as wealthy as ours, we're still the wealthiest country in the world in many, many ways, that we still have people that are going to bed hungry at night, kids as well as adults. And in a country that I think he mentioned maybe $1 trillion has been spent on trying to eliminate poverty and hunger since the 1960s. So we still have a problem with it nationwide. We certainly have a problem with it here in Portsmouth. And thanks to the Oasis and the many people that were there to participate and contribute their money, we did our share just in a little bit to help that cause. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Cherry.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to pass on congratulations to Sergeant Jenkins of the Police Department and Captain Chris Rowley of the Fire Department. I attended the Valor Awards ceremony in Virginia Beach on Friday morning in your absence. And they both came upon a accident victim, one car accident, but they were off duty. But they stopped and performed life-saving efforts on the individual, and they both received awards. The chiefs there, the chief and I, and the fire chief were there on Friday, and they'll both be commended for their efforts. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. 13-193, report on pending items, and we have none this evening. 13-194, non-agenda speakers. Our first speaker is Mr. Wayne Davis. He's followed by Mr. Sam Wright.
Well, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for your service to our city. Tonight's an example of how tough that can be. My name is Wayne Davis. I live at 319 Worthington Square. I'm president of the Worthington Square Condominium Association. I'm here tonight to voice objections of our association to placing a dog park in the open area directly east of our property between Waverly Boulevard and Crawford Parkway. We're asking that you not permit a dog park in this sensitive location and offer the following concerns. More dog waste could be expected to flow directly into the river through the storm drain at the foot of Dinwiddie Street, which is right at the edge of our property, without significant control measures. These measures at a minimum would be required by Portsmouth City Ordinance 2009-88 dealing with Chesapeake Bay preservation. It's also part of the Portsmouth, Virginia Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 9.1. The ordinance calls for controlling and regulating runoff at the source to protect against and minimize pollution in waters that are tributaries to the Chesapeake Bay. The Virginian Pilot editorial page just a week or two ago noted that the proposed location is worrisome. We certainly agree with that, and referred to a report in which the EPA estimates that only 2 or 3 days worth of dog droppings from about 100 dogs would be enough to contribute enough bacteria to temporarily close all watershed areas within 20 miles to swimming and shellfishing. Serious business we're talking about. When large rains occur in our community, dog waste is washed on the Worthington Square property by pools of water which back up at that storm drain right at the foot of Dinwiddie at the edge of our property. When it does finally drain into the river, which is not a good thing, some of it that doesn't drain is left on our property and on the streets, by the way. Third, the ambience and quiet peacefulness of the new waterfront park between Crawford Parkway and the river will be dramatically disrupted by smells, sounds, and loss of turf. Dog parks don't have much grass. For these principal reasons, we ask that you not permit a dog park at this sensitive location. Now to dispel a few misunderstandings. Worthington Square was never consulted about this potential dog park location. We first heard of it sometime in February when someone from the city called to ask who owned the shrubs that border the line between the proposed dog park and our community. And in that conversation, the person asked, "You do know about the dog park plan for this area?" Well, no, we didn't. This was the first anyone in Worthington Square had heard about this. Now, I've been told that at least 2 other locations in Old Town had been considered by the Old Town Civic League, the advocates for this undertaking, and then rejected after neighbors bordering those sites were consulted and voiced their objections. Certainly, we were never consulted. For a while, it was reported that the city would have no expense associated with the dog park. Now, thanks to Ida K. Jordan's commentary in Sunday's Currents, we know that the city is to provide a water service, a water source at that location. Contrary to the belief by some that dogs do not go to a dog park to do their business, anyone who has a dog knows that it does its business pretty much any time it's out of doors without any regard for location. So while it's hoped that dog owners visiting the dog park will be responsible for picking up after their dogs, this may not be the case. I've not been asked to suggest alternate locations, but the park west of the intersection of Glasgow and Middle Street is clearly a better choice. It's more removed from the river, although there is a storm drain in it, which would have to be controlled to prevent river pollution. Also, it does not appear to be subject to flooding. There's already a water source there, along with a dispenser of bags for dog waste and covered can in which to deposit waste. The site's a good size at about 60 to 120 feet. However, perhaps this is one of the proposed sites already rejected by the neighbors. There are other sites within Old Town and environs that have none of the negatives associated with the current proposal right at the waterfront. While there's no law against hoping for the best, my experience has been that the more prudent course is to prepare for the worst. The possible negative outcomes from the proposed dog park location are serious, and if this site were selected, it would require significant upfront contamination control measures, long-term maintenance, and oversight, things for which the city must take responsibility. Speaking of oversight, there seems to be little of it in evidence at City Hall with regard to this proposed dog park. Until we raised our concerns, the park was well on its way to adoption by Parks and Recreation Department without any involvement by planning or engineering or other departments. The lack of governance and oversight is hard to understand. We support a dog park in the city, and I invite any member of council who'd like to come down and see it, see the location, to do so at your convenience. I'd be glad to show it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sam Wright. See here? Okay. He's followed by Mr. John Johnson.
Good evening. Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Cherry, City Manager Rowe, Councilman, Council ladies.
Sir, could you adjust your microphone, please? Thank you.
This a little better. My story began about 60 years ago on the banks of the Elizabeth River, a pristine river. You could go out, you could crab swim, everything was clean. Now I live at 344 Worthington Square, condominiums. I'm at the site where the drain will run over into the bay after it is washed off from the proposed dog park. We are very active in the boating in this area, and we have been. I know of 4 boats, sizable boats, that has been paying taxes in the city of Portsmouth. 3 have moved to a Virginia Beach, 1 to a Yorktown because of the filth. We have the creosote plant leaking. We have fertilizer on the shores. We've got shipbuilding all over this place. It keeps us going. But it is a constant pollution to the bay. 2,500 square feet of dog feces running into Crawford Bay just is not a good idea. I've done some due diligence. In the year 12, last year, a master plan study was done by Parks and the Recreation to the tune of $68,000. Taxpayer dollars to study where to put a dog park in the city of Portsmouth. Their recommendations were Churchland Park, George Washington Park, These two parks are flat. No drainage into the rivers, into the bays. We paid $68,000 to tell us by a professional where to put a park. Why are we having this discussion about a very sensitive area at the end of Dinwiddie Street and Waverly? These two parks, they're not up against people's homes, and they don't drain into the bay. The EPA is watching this situation carefully, and I've contacted the Sierra Club, and they're on board also. The recommendations from the local Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Livers River Foundation is tainted with special interest people. These people live here. These people, they want this park. They have dogs. And now they're saying that they will install berms and bushes to hold back the wash across the lot into the river. If you have to install bushes to keep a wash off of a lot, then you're in the wrong spot. If you would just go down and stand at the end of Dinwiddie Street and look at where they want this put, you'll just see it's the wrong idea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Wright, interesting when you noted about the Parks and Rec study. I just happened to be showing Vice Mayor that particular page, and you're right. It did make a recommendation of Churchland Park and George Washington Park, and I know that staff since the meeting a couple weeks ago, I think they're looking into this and going to report back to council, and I think we should heed our $68,000 study, not only with dog parks, and it wasn't paid for just for dog parks, as you know. Recreation facilities made some excellent recommendations on how we should proceed in improving the recreation facilities that we have, as well as where new ones should be placed once we have the funds to do so. But you're correct, and appreciate you being here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. John Johnson, and he's followed by Mr. Luke McCoy.
Yes, my name is John Johnson. I live at 3901 Marion Drive in Chesapeake, Virginia. And we'll talk about the dog park. The Old Town Civic League should be commended for their selection of this tiny island of land for their dog park. I don't think they realized how lucky they were to pick that spot. I'm sure they hadn't taken into consideration that every time we have a medium or heavy rain, this island would be rinsed off and the dog residue will go into the street, to the drain, and a few hundred feet back out into the river. In addition, several times a year, when we have a northeaster or maybe a hurricane, this island of land will be completely covered over with salt water, and as the tide goes out, it will carry the fleas, ticks, roaches, rodents, and other insects that will surely call this dog park home. This flooding will also be a more in-depth cleaning of the dog residue, and out in the river will go. Then the cycle will start all over again. The word dog poop, which was used in the meeting several weeks ago concerning this dog park, has been used to describe what the dogs will leave on the dog park. It really tones down what the dogs will leave behind. If you call it doo-doo, hockey, crap, or waste, or a word that starts with an S, I think you would add a different meaning to what is going to be deposited on that land and will end up in the river. The Civic League has collected $25,000 to support this dog park. They are spending money to support something that will have a negative impact on our rivers. Just think how much dog residue will come off this land in the next year or even the next 3, 4, 5, or 10 years. Up and down the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries, there are millions of dollars being spent to keep our waters clean and bacteria-free. They call it a dog park. but it's more like a dog toilet or outhouse, Johnny house, or privy latrine, or whatever you want to call it. But it's just a plain old dog restroom is what it's going to boil down to. Whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a place where dogs' waste will be deposited. You would think that the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, the EPA, and all the other agents that are trying to help the Bay would show some interest in this waterfront dog park. In Monday's Virginia Pilot, an article concerning the Earth Bay addressed the environment. People are trying to restore our rivers to a healthy condition. The title of this article read, "Who Can Stop River Killers?" In this case, the Portsmouth City Council can, but not by not putting a park so close to the Elizabeth River. If you want a dog park with minimum impact, go to a more central location in the city. Look at all the vacant land between High and County. It's a more business-like district with plenty of parking. And the land is big enough to allow a catch basin to be built around the perimeter of this to keep the dog waste in a better location and not in our rivers. Your present location is going to disturb a quiet residential area. I don't live in that area, but I feel for the people who have to listen to the dogs barking, compete for parking spaces, and have their waterfront views ruined. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Following Mr. McCoy is Ms. Karen Bailey.
Mayor Wright.
Sir.
Vice Mayor Page. Cherry, how are you tonight? Members of City Council, Mr. Rowe, Mr. Wilson. I started a journey almost 5 years ago with this City Council, or at least 3 members of this City Council. Mayor Wright, you served on the Blue Ribbon Commission with me. That journey hopefully came to a head tonight. And while most of the people that were represented by that Blue Ribbon Commission under the PSRS system are not here to hear what I have to say, I'd like to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you for following through with something that has been needed attention for many, many months and many years. It's only with perseverance that we have arrived at where we are tonight. And I say thank you to each and every one of you. To Councilman Edmonds, Simmons, Meeks, Randall, Moody, Vice Mayor, and Mayor, I say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Karen Bailey. Members of the City Council, there's no additional business to come before you.
We're adjourned.
Waste no time and put get my speech finished.